In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
We are just learning that Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, was granted limited immunity in order to talk with Trump's personal attorney, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. It allowed Maxwell to provide information without any fear that anything she said can be used against her in the future.
Wow.
Maxwell's attorney just said this about a potential pardon from Trump.
We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way.
A lot of people are asking me about pardons. Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons.
She was asked maybe about 100 different people. She answered questions about everybody, and she didn't hold anything back.
Ghislaine Maxwell is finally going to do one thing right in her life. It is tell the truth.
Maybe now's the moment.
And help these victims get closure on this horrible, horrible crime.
I doubt it.
You are fake news. Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Very fake news.
Shut up, bitch!
Hell yes.
Great story, compelling and rich.
Well, it's not my concern.
You sound like a groomer terrorist that need to be deported.
All right, America, go to the YouTube right now.
Dude, Matt straight up sucks.
How dare you?
All right, go. In 5, 4, 3. I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live!
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Sunday, July 27th, 2025. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight is our friend Robert, my former Bible study leader, just returned from his motorcycle ride to the Arctic Ocean. Welcome back, Robert.
Saddle up, partner.
Sounds like you had plenty of opportunities to die as forecasted on this trip, but did not, in fact. So congratulations. Happy to have you back. We'll get the full story to close the show. Did Robert make it to the ocean or not? If you read his blog, you already know the answer. But if you didn't, tune in 2 hours' time, and we'll discuss it. Great guest tonight. Jon Patton will stop by. We'll talk about that Sig Sauer accidental discharge, or what is believed to be an accidental discharge at the Air Force Base in Wyoming that killed a guy, and what's going on with these handguns, plus some other items with Jon as well. Of course, we'll get to all the week's news, which really it's just what's the Epstein update of the week. That's the big news every week for like the last month, Robert. I know you've been on your motorcycle for 30 days or something, but as you've heard, presumably, it's the latest. It's the hoax that we can't stop investigating for some reason.
We're still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes, we are.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Glad you are caught up with the story enough to know the famous Trump quote. Anyway, of course, the development this week is the DOJ has given Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, conditional immunity to talk to them about what? Don't know exactly, although her lawyer gave us some information. For what reason are they doing this? Don't know exactly. We can theorize. Ghislaine will tell you the list, I guess, is the best theory that I have to explain this. Later in the show, an app called The T. I had not heard of The T before, or it's just called T. The app is T. It's not The T. Have you heard of T before?
I had never. Mm-mm.
Yeah. This is like Yelp for women. They review men and they spill the tea. And so if you had a bad date on Tinder or something, you were a creep or you were a predator, or maybe you were just a normal nice guy who's hated by women, as is the case for many normal nice guys, you will get a poor T review. Well, T got hacked, and so all the photos of these prize women reviewing men anonymously, that's out there too. I shouldn't celebrate data theft. It's not a laughing matter, but I don't know. If you're going on the internet to ruin people's reputations and the data gets leaked, maybe one chuckle. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we have plenty of Hoax hate helpings to close. We'll take your super chats as well. Speaking of, hey, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show. You can do that one time or recurring for as little as $1 a month over on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/support. Support for the show not only helps me sustain, but it pays the people who make the show possible. There are perks available for your support as well, or you can check out the merch store too. There are a lot of great designs for t-shirts, mugs, and more. Likewise, merch sales help not only my operation, but they support the designers who made these designs, all of whom are listeners of this stream. mattchristiansenmedia.com/shop, or just find both of those links right there on the homepage, mattchristiansenmedia.com, or mattis.gay, if you can't spell my confusing name. And we got to say hello to our featured listener-owned business for the evening as well. That's our friends over at Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing. And they have an exciting new product launch. This is a finely crafted travel case for your Nintendo Switch 2. You're looking at it like you might be a Nintendo Switch 2 guy, Robert.
I am buying this product immediately.
Great.
Like as soon as we end this stream.
Fantastic. I didn't know you were a Switch guy. But if you're like Robert and you take your Switch on the go, maybe on a motorcycle ride to the Arctic Ocean, this is the way to carry it. It's the same high-quality hardwood you've heard all about from Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing. The case comes in walnut or cherry. It has individually applied felt liner pieces as well that keep your Switch safe, secure, and free, of course, of any scuffs or damage. Protect your gaming device with the exquisite style and function of Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing. This is just one of some new offerings coming from Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing. There's also a humidor, I think is how you say it. That's what you store your cigars in, right? Mm-hmm. They're working on that and some other new products as well. For all the latest information, check out kineowood.com, KINEOWOOD.com. Remember, of course, all Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing products are customizable. They can be built to order, small items to big furniture items. They can do it all, and you can personalize it too. And as always, listeners of this show get 10% off all Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing products and services. Promo code MATT10 at checkout. Promo code MATT10 for 10% off everything at kineowood.com. Did you actually bring a Switch on your trip?
I did not, but I just bought the Switch 2, which I know is controversial. Like some people are mad at Nintendo, but yeah, like this product, yeah, I'm not even kidding. I will buy it as soon as this stream is over.
Thank you for the endorsement. They appreciate that. All right. Next time you can review it when you're on the stream. Also, our friends at Hero Soap Company have a new offering as well, or a returning classic. Lemongrass bar soap is back while supplies last. It's easy, calming, and lemony sweet, just like a tall glass of lemonade watching the summer sunset. Personally, this is one of my favorite soaps from Hero Soap. It smells just like the lemon drop candy. It's good stuff. As always, you can get some lemongrass bar soap or any of Hero's other fine offerings, including liquid soap, shampoo, conditioner, cologne, and more. 10% off all of it. HeroSoapCompany.com. Promo code MC-LISTENER. Promo code MC-LISTENER for 10% off everything. HeroSoapCompany.com. Of course, find all the information at MattChristiansenMedia.com/deals. Deals by listeners for listeners. All right. One quick reminder before we hop into the news. As I am off for August. Robert, I know you already know that, but this is going to be the final Sunday stream until September. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with myself. Just kidding. I have lots of plans for things to do. But it is going to be weird not to have that work schedule in that, at least the work schedule I've been accustomed to for the better part of the last decade. And I'll be working on stuff for the stream. I'll be spending time with family, and I'll be using it wisely to get energized and enthused for a return in September. But yeah, so it's going to be no streams, no videos in August. And then of course we'll see what happens in September as well, because we have our third son due in September. So it's going to be a very eventful August and September around here, but I will still be available for all my business activities. So video calls with supporters, that's still available. Bible study will continue on Friday nights. I'll just be away from videos and streaming August 1st through about September 7th, tentatively, is the plan. If you have any questions for me, I am still available during the break, and I'll have the latest information on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com. And this is not the last stream, though, before the break. I will be back on Wednesday night, July 30th. Batman and Jussie will join together, so that will be fun. Make all the three-way jokes you want. I don't have one handy, but on to the important news, Robert. As you know, this show may not be the leader in much, but it is the leader in coverage of athletes with names that sound like slurs.
Kniga.
Luke Nigaman. Diego
And of course, we've been following the exciting young career of Oakland A's first baseman, Nick Kurtz. Did you see the phenomenal Friday night that Nick Kurtz had?
I did not, but I mean, and I honestly don't know anything about baseball, but that looks impressive.
It's historic. This was an historic baseball performance, Robert. Not only has Nick Kurtz had a highly productive rookie season, hitting over 20 home runs in just over half the season, now he's made history. On Friday night, Nick Kurtz went 6 for 6, hitting 4 home runs. He's now the first rookie in the history of Major League Baseball to hit 4 home runs in one game. He's also the youngest player ever to hit 4 home runs in one game at just 22 years old.
Now he goes inside out, deep to left. 4! Get about that baseball! 0-1 in the air to deep left. Houston, you do have a problem. His name is the Big Amish. First pitch. Oh, my! Swing and a drive, deep to left. He's done it 4 times.
What a magical night for the Big Amish. Smooth as butter, baby. Turn it up.
He has more than introduced himself to the world here tonight.
I mean, Nick Kurtz, the youngest player in baseball history with a 4-homer game.
I heard what you said.
Did you hear the hesitation there?
Yes.
No, his name is not the Big Amish, okay? His name is Nick Kurtz, and you should celebrate his accomplishments by saying his name 3 times as fast as you can. Everyone should do it.
That's right. It sounds convenient to give him a nickname. It's like, no. Just say his name.
He's introduced himself to the entire country. You all know his name, so we don't need to say it. Now, they call him the Big Amish because he's from, and they churn the butter. They do the butter. Careful with these gestures. I've learned my lesson not to do that on the stream. But they call him that because he's from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is Amish country. He himself is not Amish, okay? But on behalf of the show, I am incredibly proud of Nick Kurtz, and I hope next time he does something so incredibly historic, the entire crowd recognizes the moment and just chants his name as loudly as possible. Nick Kurtz, Nick Kurtz, Nick Kurtz. This actually happened at the Houston Astros ballpark. So had it been a home game for, the A's in Sacramento these days, or maybe when the team finally moves to Las Vegas in a couple of years, we can get the Nick Kurtz chant. That is really deserved. But some are saying it may have been the greatest single-game hitting performance in baseball history. If so, the least we can do is chant his name in celebration. So, congratulations to Nick. Now, I am continually amazed about the advancements in AI video and audio. Did you see the advertisement for Comply this week?
I have not, but I can only imagine this is going to be hilarious.
This week's AI video contribution that went viral, it's a mock advertisement for a prescription drug called Comply. And it considers an alternate universe where maybe George Floyd had taken it, and maybe he doesn't have those breathing problems anymore.
A few years ago, I couldn't breathe. But then I started taking this, Comply. Now I breathe just fine.
Side effects of Comply may include dizziness, obedience, improved breathing during police encounters, and sudden respect for authority. Do not resist while taking Comply. Ask your officer if Comply is right for you.
Now, I don't know how Comply may interact with meth and fentanyl. It may cause complications. Ask your doctor.
Yeah, but it still helps. It helps. That's a 10 out of 10 commercial. Whoever did that, brilliant.
In premise, it's great. In practice, the AI execution was pretty funny. Although,
jeez,
the Fent Gang T-shirt eating at Popeyes maybe went a little far. No, A+. I'm not here to tell them they should have toned it down. It's the details that matter, and they are appreciated. All right, well, into the real news, supposedly. Another week and still more Epstein updates.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
But it's Trump's own people who are still talking about Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, they're nearly talking to Jeffrey Epstein. They may offer the ghost of Jeffrey Epstein conditional immunity at this point if he's willing to talk to them. I don't know.
Yeah, we're a week away from a Ouija board.
Ouija boards, I don't mess with. I've talked about it on the stream. I've had terrible experiences with Ouija boards, and sure as hell I'm not trying to talk to Jeffrey Epstein with a Ouija board. That's about as demonic as it could possibly get.
That's right. I do not advise it, but where are these people to go from here?
If you've got a political emergency, though, I mean, it's desperate times. All right, they're talking to his former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who, of course, is in federal prison, sentenced to 20 years for her role in sex trafficking to Jeffrey Epstein, and nobody else, even though she has like 100 other people that she's willing to talk about, according to her lawyer this week. But to talk to her, the feds offered Ghislaine conditional immunity. And that means that nothing that she says in these interviews can be used against her legally or criminally, as long as she doesn't lie. That's the only condition. Don't lie. If we catch you perjuring yourself, we might get you on that. And now there's talk from both sides about a pardon, though nobody is saying that will happen. But we start talking about pardoning or offering some sort of reduced sentence or something to Ghislaine Maxwell, and boy, oh boy, does this get pretty messy potentially. But this is also a rare move just in terms of who's doing the discussions with her. The DOJ sent Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell. And that's rare because the Deputy AG is essentially overseeing the Justice Department in D.C. and across the country and all those day-to-day operations. He has an important job. So to deploy him on one particular case as though he's a prosecutor on that case or something, for a hoax that nobody cares about, this is like sending one of your biggest weapons to go deal with it, which is odd itself. And the Deputy AG, Todd Blanche, he also just happens to be Trump's former personal attorney. So a lot of connections here. Ghislaine's lawyer, David Marcus, says during there were about 9 hours of interviewing over the last 2 days, or I think it was Thursday, Friday. Ghislaine talked to Deputy AG Blanche about maybe 100 people linked to Epstein, holding nothing back, he says. Okay. Again, she's granted immunity to have these conversations. So whatever she says, as long as it's truthful, she won't be held legally accountable for. And she's currently appealing her conviction to the Supreme Court. Now, her conviction isn't necessarily that she's innocent per se, although they might say that, but it's really procedural. She's saying in this appeal that there was a non-prosecution agreement for Epstein and any co-conspirators in Florida in 2007. And so she was then prosecuted in New York. And I guess the legal question is, should a non-prosecution agreement in a federal court district in Florida still be valid in a different district in New York, as far as I understand, is her argument. And I don't know how the Supreme Court would answer that question. Do you know much about that legal question, Robert?
No, not at all. I mean, that's like deep in the weeds of criminal law, which is not my area.
Okay.
And I imagine it's not just about the districts, but also what the agreement actually said, what it was supposed to cover. So, but no, I don't have any insight into that.
Well, on the topic of a pardon, Trump was asked about that this week. Is this just reporters badgering him? Is he actually thinking about this? All he said is, I haven't thought about it, but I do indeed have the power to do it.
A lot of people are asking me about pardons. Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons. It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
Okay. Now, on the principle of justice, well, before I get into that, he's not the only one talking about it. Ghislaine's lawyer himself is talking about it. Of course, Ghislaine wants a pardon or some sort of relief from her 20-year sentence, but here's Ghislaine's lawyer, David Marcus.
We haven't spoken to the president or anybody about a pardon just yet. The president this morning said he had the power to do so. We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way.
Okay, so on the principle of justice, Ghislaine Maxwell should not be pardoned if she's convicted of trafficking minors, young women, whoever, for the purposes of sex. End of consideration.
Exactly. She sold kids for sex. Like, she should be on death row, we shouldn't be discussing pardons. What is this?
If you want to entertain the politics of it, which is apparently what's happening here. And again, we're several leaps ahead, okay? This is assuming that the Trump administration, the DOJ, that they're even considering a pardon. That's not substantiated yet, but people are speculating that. even on the politics of it, though, let's assume that's being considered. The politics here are also very dicey, nearly impossible to justify. The information that she would have to provide that would make the public believe it's worthwhile to pardon her, reduce her sentence, give her some sort of benefit, it would have to be astronomical. It would have to be amazing in terms of the truth that it revealed. It would have to be not just a complete list of Epstein associates, but damning evidence, irrefutable evidence of their guilt. And then maybe, if you're a member of the public, you think, well, I guess letting kind of the ringleader of this sex trafficking operation go, that's not good. However, we got the truth about everybody who was involved in it. Maybe that's a worthy sacrifice. But you really have to know that information ahead of time if you're going to make that move. And you also have to know that it's credible, that it's true. And if it's just Ghislaine said it, I mean, that's why do we believe her?
We need like pictures or videos. Like if she comes out and it's like, hey, I've got a safe hidden who knows where, and I have pictures of like Prince whatever, from England, literally doing the deed with a minor. It's like, okay, cool. You bring us those pictures where we can get all of these guys. Like you have the irrefutable evidence. And then great. Yeah, sure. I'll make that deal.
Anything less than that, and it's going to be a catastrophic failure. And again, I want to emphasize this is several steps ahead. I'm not predicting the Trump administration is going to do this, but you have to be wary of the path you're potentially taking. And I know I'm bringing up an old school Pawn Stars meme here, but it tracks. Could you possibly end up in a situation where, in response to demand to release the Epstein files, the best I can do is pardon Ghislaine Maxwell and not really give you much useful information anyway? I mean, talk about a disaster. Again, not expecting them to do that. I'm just saying the pieces are forming in a way that could be a possible, though worst case outcome. And you can't do that.
Alternative events. Okay, I'll offer an alternate deal. Not a pardon, but maybe like a shorter sentence or something. If she goes on Joe Rogan, that's what I don't want her interviewed by some attorney. No. Joe Rogan, 8-hour podcast. How about it?
Well, then there's going to be like an hour of talking about elk meat in the middle, though. And it's, there's going to be. No, I agree. If we could have full public transparency and hear her say these things. Yeah. Now, the other interesting factor about the discussions here that we can't so far listen in on, though, obviously, until an agreement is reached or until information is provided, it's not as though we should necessarily be listening in on these conversations, I suppose, but you have to wonder what's going on behind these closed doors if you were a fly on the wall. The other factor is that Todd Blanche, the deputy AG, former Trump attorney representing the DOJ in these discussions, and Robert Marcus, Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer we just heard from, they appear to be pretty friendly. Blanche was on Marcus's podcast last year to talk about some of the Trump criminal cases.
I hope you take care of yourself. I hope that you're doing okay. And I just really want to thank you for doing this because, I know how busy you are. I know how swamped you are, and it means a lot to me. And I think people will get a lot out of it that you were willing to come on and talk to me for an hour about the case.
I was happy to do it, David. And I mean, in all seriousness, to you, I know a lot of people that have worked with you. I know a lot of people who know you very well. I now consider you a friend and someone who I know pretty well. You are by far the best out there, and I'll always say yes to this podcast.
Okay. And you're a member of the legal profession. You could probably tell me. My sources say, Robert, that it's not actually very uncommon for prosecutors and defense attorneys or attorneys of any type who may be adversarial in the courtroom or on behalf of their clients to be friendly with each other personally. So I'm not saying that's incredibly bizarre. However, those are the same two people behind closed doors talking about what Ghislaine Maxwell information the public should have and not have. And given the chummy relationship, I just wonder, is the truth actually the most important consideration in that discussion?
Yeah, no, this is concerning to me. It is true that this is not unusual at all. Lawyers, especially high-profile lawyers, they're kind of a club, and so yeah, everybody knows each other and they like each other and all that. I mean, I shouldn't say they like. Generally, they do. Sometimes there is real like personal animosity between lawyers. However, when you do have this kind of relationship, and I'm just speaking from experience, these lawyers are going to kind of watch out for each other, and they're going to have conversations, like private conversations with each other, where they're going to go, hey, you know, we really need to accomplish this for my client, and how about we do this, that, or the other, and they're going to make backdoor deals. That 100% happens, and is what I would expect here.
Okay, so the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth may be secondary to some other
absolutely
factors.
I mean,
yeah,
these people are lawyers for, like, that's their business.
Yeah.
That's their business. And so, yeah, if both, if they can call each other and they go, hey, it's good for my business and good for your business for us to do this or that, they're going to accomplish that behind a closed door. No one will ever know. Yeah, this is concerning to me. I would prefer that they didn't know each other, or they were outright adversarial, which does happen. I mean, sometimes lawyers personally despise one another.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying to theorize about what exactly is going on here. We don't know exactly why the DOJ wants to talk to Maxwell. They want some kind of information, but exactly what information, we don't necessarily know. We don't know exactly what information she may have or maybe has already given them, other than apparently Epstein associates, generally 100 of them, the lawyer says. But it doesn't make a lot of sense on paper for the DOJ to be talking to Ghislaine Maxwell to get good information. And by that, I mean, like, the truth of what happened. Not that it's impossible to get that, but there are a lot of factors that raise a little bit of doubt about whether that's achievable. First of all, Ghislaine Maxwell, according to the DOJ, not just a scumbag in the form of trafficking children, but a lying scumbag who was accused by the DOJ itself of perjury twice. So we're going back to someone the DOJ has previously accused of being a liar under oath. That's a problem. If we're to trust her and trust the information, which is why you need verification beyond just her word. The information that they're getting is also presumably very old. Whatever she says may be very difficult to verify. Witnesses are dead. Evidence is lost. If we're just supposed to believe Ghislaine, maybe we do believe Ghislaine if there's substantiating evidence beyond just her word, but that seems like it's going to be hard to find given the age of the considerations. And then what information does Ghislaine have that the DOJ doesn't already know? She's already been prosecuted. She fought it through trial. It's not like they quickly reached a plea agreement to avoid, a more thorough investigation or something like that. This investigation is done, and she was convicted at trial. And now she has an incentive to say whatever she thinks the DOJ wants her to say, because she may get rewarded with a pardon or something else. So I ask all these questions or raise these points not because I have some theory that ties all this together. I don't. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense on paper. The only thing that I can think is that Maxwell will help them produce an actual or more credible Epstein list to satisfy the public political demand for such a release. But if creating the list that, again, you previously advertised and then came back and said doesn't exist and in fact it's a hoax, now you need to create it to satisfy public demand. If that means favors for the woman who was organizing the list, potentially letting her off, giving her some sort of benefit, something that you give her in exchange for these names of people who may never be prosecuted, or maybe they will, we don't know. It's a very dangerous deal. It's obviously a very dangerous deal from a justice perspective, but the politics of this, I don't quite understand watching it play out. So I don't know. You have a theory that ties all this together?
Well, I mean, to me, what's suspicious about this is that this is happening because of public pressure. Like, let's say that the DOJ suspected that this lady really has evidence that didn't come up in the investigation, right? Which is very possible. In criminal cases, there's effectively no discovery. Like the government has to turn over all its evidence to the person being prosecuted, but not the other way around. Like, you can't compel the person being prosecuted to tell on themselves, of course. So if she did have videos or photos or whatever, I mean, if the government discovered them, okay, cool. But what if they didn't? And maybe they suspect that they do exist. But if that were true, then they would have tried to make a deal with her right after they won the case, right? Because then they would say, okay, we have you. Like, you are going to be in prison for however long unless you make a deal with us and you give us all this evidence. But that didn't happen. And it didn't happen for years. And now it's almost like this just occurred to them, like, hey, maybe we should talk to this lady. Maybe she has information. It's just political theater. And I find it kind of disgusting that they would do this kind of political theory. It's like, this lady was selling kids.
That's why she's there. That's why she's in prison. Yeah.
Yeah. And for them to act like, oh yeah, I guess maybe this is an avenue we hadn't considered. They're just treating us like we're stupid.
Well, that wouldn't be the first time. I guess that's standard operating procedure. But all right, my friend John is here. So if you have more Epstein thoughts, we'll circle back to them. There's one other piece of the story I wanted to discuss, but I don't want to leave John hanging. So we'll come back to that later in the stream. But I'm going to go get John, and I will be right back.
Stand back and stand by.
Welcome back. My guest tonight is Jon Patton from The Gun Collective. Find him at theguncollective.com for gun industry news, reviews, and more. John, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me back. This is great as per frickin' usual.
Well, thank you. Glad to have you. I want to have you help me make sense of what is going on with Sig Sauer as a Sig Sauer appreciator. I know that these problems seem to be limited to the P320 line. Mm-hmm. I am a 365 enjoyer, as many are, so I'm told there aren't necessarily problems. But you know, I'd like to know that my nut isn't going to get blown off when I'm carrying as I usually do. So if you can offer me that reassurance, I'd appreciate it.
I cannot with the 320.
Okay.
I cannot. There have been far too many failures with that particular pistol. It's getting to a point where it's just abysmal, and they are not doing a good job handling it. I don't know what they could do better, to be fair. I don't know how they could come back from this, because if they acknowledge it, suddenly there's a big risk of liability. You know, they've got all these pending lawsuits, and if they say, yeah, we know there's a problem, then that's almost an admission of guilt.
Yeah, it does seem like they've created quite a difficult web for themselves. And to catch people up, I'll run through this latest case at this Air Force base in Wyoming just to give some recent news context. But this has been an issue for SIG for years now. People have been making these claims, filing lawsuits that there are these accidental discharges from this P320 line of pistols. And the pistol became the standard military sidearm in 2017 as the M17 and M18 handguns. And then this week, what is believed to be one of these accidental discharges, as far as is reported, John, I don't think there are official details, but it really sounds like that's what happened. It caused a fatality at an Air Force base in Wyoming, and now part of the Air Force, the Global Strike Command has suspended use.
One of the branches or segments of the military.
Yeah,
they decided that they weren't going to allow them anymore. And I will say, you said this has been a problem for years. The thing that's interesting is prior to this going off in the holster thing, the issue with the 320 was that it was not drop safe. Like, that was an issue in and of itself years ago. And then it transformed into what is now, it'll go off in your holster and potentially put a hole in your leg or kill you. in this instance.
Yeah, and
with
we
the military.
don't like, was it dropped? Was it on the table? We have no idea what happened here. And they're saying we won't tell you until the investigation is concluded. But the reason that everybody believes, and I think probably correctly, that this was one of those accidental discharges is if it's a murder, if it's a suicide, if it's some sort of intentional shooting, you don't take the gun out of operation. You don't blame the gun if there's some sort of other criminal activity. To take the gun out of use in this particular part of the military tells us like the gun has a problem, or at least they think it is. So
right. And we're seeing this cascading across the entire firearms industry, specifically with training facilities. And one of the most, I guess, highly regarded is a place called Gun Sight out in Prescott, Arizona. And they are disallowing 320s from being on their range. And that I'm seeing that through trainers, training facilities, gun shops, you name it. People are not.
You can't even bring it to the range to shoot it, is what you're saying? Like it's just not
people don't think it's safe.
Firearm? Wow.
And I don't know, part of that's probably, hedging bets, and part of that is actual fear. I don't know that everyone's actually afraid of it, but rather than potentially get involved in some kind of liability thing, why allow it?
Well, how is it that this gun won the military contract?
Boy.
I guess I'm asking a stupid question. How is it that the government failed at something? But one would assume this was was the contract awarded purely for cost reasons, or was there some kind of rigorous testing? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, so I don't know what you may know about that or not. But I find it odd that what is going to become the standard sidearm of the U.S. military might just go off sometimes and maybe kill a guy at an Air Force base. Seems like they would test it more thoroughly than that.
Right. And I highly doubt they knew such a thing was possible at the time. I think there may have been a couple cases, but, I will point out to the viewers that every single gun company out there has had guns blow up. All of them have had it happen. Every single one of them. No one is flawless. Everybody has issues. I've seen issues with the 365. I saw there was an issue with the SIG Cross. SIG just happens to be the lightning rod right now, and they're kind of earning it. I think when it comes to the military selection, it's likely a cost thing, and it's also potentially, and I don't have direct knowledge of this, but it could be glad handing, it could be owed favors, it could be any number of backdoor bullshit that the government likes to do. We know they do this stuff all the time. I can't 100% say it was this reason that they picked it. It's just, for lack of a better term, blowing up in their face right now.
Hold on. You were in a rim shot on that. Okay. I saw you tweeting this video over the weekend, and this is circulating among a bunch of gun accounts I follow. So it looks like a guy, this Wyoming Gun Project. I'm not familiar with his content, but it looks like he has replicated the discharge issue, or what may be one of, I don't know, several discharge issues with this gun. Do we really have it? We don't really have it narrowed down to like one thing necessarily, do they? It could be several things, but
I've seen a few different takes on this sort of thing. I've seen, and I'm not saying this particular guy, but I've seen a few isolated issues, and they go, aha, I found the issue. I think the overarching term could be stacking tolerances and poor quality control. This particular issue, the guy is using a primed case. So for anybody out there that watches, we had hundreds of thousands of people watching this particular clip being shared. He's using a primed case, so there won't be any recoil. The slide will not cycle. It will not eject a case, but it will still tell you if the gun is going off. You hear a bang. That's just the primer, like it would be with any, normal cartridge. So this guy has found a way to jam something into the trigger to just like slightly put a tiny bit of pressure on it, I believe. And then he moves the slide in such a way that bang, the gun goes off, quite literally. That's terrifying. I don't know, the problem with a lot of these videos is that they're like an hour long of a just, how do I put this? not concisely presented information. So I don't have time to sift through 3 hours of SIG failures. But it appears that the issue is he used a screw to sort of put pressure on the trigger and remove any slop, and then he moved the slide, and then it goes off.
Okay.
Which is pretty scary.
Let me play the video here so people can see
Sure.
what that looks like.
And you can see he's got like a wood screw
Did you
or
see that?
drywall screw.
Holy crap! All right, let's see. Now that should be roughly a millimeter or less of input into the trigger. And if you touch the slide, let's see if we can touch the slide and get it to go off.
That's bad, dude. I mean, someone will argue, and people in the comments are arguing that the trigger is being pressed and things are happening because of that screw in there. And I know SIG didn't design the gun to have a screw in the freaking trigger mechanism. So I don't know if that actually is an issue, or more importantly, if it's repeatable, because that appears to be the same gun in both of his clips.
Well, and whatever's going on, clearly these accidental discharges are real, and SIG has denied them or tried to explain them away in one form or another.
Sure.
But now you've got a situation like you're talking about where you have this potential, at least pause of military usage. You got gun ranges or certain places not trusting them. SIG is going to have to face reality at some point here. Eventually, it would seem. And I just let's say tomorrow you're hired for SIG PR or SIG product development. The problem is, to the extent this is happening, they have to be investigating this, right? They have to be trying to figure out what this problem is. And so it would be so much, to me, from it would be so much smarter from their perspective to say, we are looking into this. We're going to try to figure out exactly what the problem is. And anybody who has a firearm that is impacted, we're going to fix or replace or whatever. The denialism and the way that they've handled this from a public perspective, I think, has been very bad. So I'm curious what you might do differently. And it seems like there are a lot of options.
There are a boatload of options. I will reiterate, if they admit that there is a problem, they could be held liable in court, and there are pending cases.
Mm-hmm.
Any admission of guilt is a problem for them. So right now, they can't do what's right unless they want to end up paying millions and millions of dollars and potentially going out of business and going bankrupt. We don't know. We don't know what's going on in the courts, and I know there are pending lawsuits. So besides that, I think they should shut the 320 down, at least stop producing them for a given period of time. And even if it's quiet, figure out what's going on. I know that they are, these people are not dumb. They're not complete morons, I hope. And they are very likely to be trying to track down this issue. Now, I will also say, to give them, I guess, points in this way, they've sold millions of these guns. The percentage of guns that are having issues are very small, so to track that down and then figure out what's going on is also probably kind of difficult. So I mean, they got to stop making them. They got to stop.
Then you have such a bizarre situation where the military's standard issue sidearm is not suitable for the U.S. civilian market for safety reasons. What a bizarre situation that would be.
Yeah, and then do they go back to the M9 while that's out of service? What happens to all those people that were never trained on the M9?
Can they even do that? Is there just a warehouse full of old ones, or do they?
Yeah, I would hope so, but what the hell do they do? Imagine being the guy in charge of that at the Army, right? At Big Army right now, there's a guy that's going, son of a bitch. These people need to fix it. That's his job, is to figure this out. And he's stuck in a hard place just like everybody else.
Yeah.
It sucks. I own one P320. I wasn't good. It was a competition model, so I was never going to carry it anyway. But even if that was an option, I wouldn't. And it's weird because my brain goes, that's the same company as that 365. I'm scared. I have this little thing in the back of my mind about the 365 potentially having the same issues, even though Mine have never had any of those.
And they're mechanically different, are they
just,
not? I've never handled the 320 at all. I'm familiar with the 365, but is there reason for me to have worry about the 365?
I don't know. I haven't like one for one looked at the parts.
Okay.
They both use a fire control group, and they're both striker fired, and they're from the same company.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There are probably differences between the two. I'm not going to pretend like I am an expert between the two. However, it's still like it's a thing that goes into people's brains. There are still people that think the M16 is like, and therefore AR-15s are junk because of the early experiences in Vietnam with those. So now we've got this massive PR thing, and worse yet, just complete failure of public confidence in not only a company, the pistol, and the company's ability to handle it. It's bad. There is not an opportunity for them to come back to where they once were. That's gone.
So you think the question legitimately then is, will SIG survive as a company? That's not an overstatement.
I think long term. I think they're surviving just fine right now. You know, they're getting those big checks and whatnot. They're selling the hell out of the 365. But I think if they don't continue to handle it, people like, let's say they come out with another 320, another version. They released a whole bunch this year. No one's buying that. In fact, every gun store that I'm aware of is not taking 320s in trade anymore. They don't want to know. They don't want to sell 320s. They want nothing to do with the gun. Imagine like the flagship of your pistols is toast, gone overnight. And this is like years in the making, and they've earned it because they could have handled this. Yeah. They could have handled this a long, long time ago, but they chose not to. They did what was called a voluntary upgrade, and then that was kind of it, and said, hey, the problem's fixed, but clearly there's something going on.
Well, I'll continue to watch it, and I'll try to aim that 365 as I don't know, away from me as possible while carrying it. But then it's pointed at other people, so I don't know. Maybe people get so tribal about their guns and stuff, and right. I'm not super into that. I like what I like, but I'm not. People get tribal about cars, or I love Fords, I love Chevys, I love Glocks, I love SIGs, whatever. But man, are the Glock supremacists reveling in the moment. I feel like I have to join them. All right, just give me the old school Glock 19. I'll join your club. Let's go.
You know what, though? There are so many better options still than a Glock 19 that have come out in the last 5 years. There are so many better options than a Glock 19 on the market right now. There's just tons. And I want all the Glock fanboys that are out there listening to hear that and soak that in for a minute. Your gun's not the best.
I'm not
anymore.
even a Glock hater, man. I've got Glocks. They're good. Hey, if
gun.
If it becomes an apocalypse scenario, it's probably the one I'm grabbing because the parts are everywhere, and that's the reason I have it. It's just like if I needed it, I have one. So that's not even Glock hate. It's just like that's one side of this too. As I watch this develop on social media, it's not just people trying to figure out the problem. It's also like the tribal gun loyalist dunking.
This is why I carry a 1911.
Yeah. Wait, I've probably told you the story, John, but the first gun I ever bought was a 1911 to carry because I thought 1911s are cool, and I learned the lesson the hard way. But they are still cool looking, and so I still have that 1911 in the safe. Anyway, I want to leave some time for you to talk about GunCon, because that was at the end of June. This was your big event, the first year of GunCon, right?
So this was year 4 of GunCon.
How did I think it was year 1? My mistake.
I don't know. Well, this is the first year in Cleveland.
Okay, maybe
in
that
Ohio.
was it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the previous 3 years were held at Brownells in Iowa.
Okay.
And I relocated the event, and I looked for a spot, and we ended up in Cleveland, which in hindsight was not a great call. So the issue that I think is most important to know is that I don't know how this happened. I really don't. We were kind of targeted by the venue management company. And what I mean is that this is going to sound absurd. So we publicly announced the presenters. At 12:18 a.m. on the morning of the big show, I've got, the biggest day of my year is here, and I happen to look at my email. I happen to be awake, and here comes venue management saying, Attorney General Andrew Bailey is not welcome on the property because of his stance against or his stance about transgender issues.
So it wasn't even gun stuff. He is Attorney General of what? Missouri? Where's he from?
Yes, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah. So Bailey's a good dude. I've had plenty of conversations with him. Regardless of where you stand on transgender issues, this was a gun event, and for whatever reason, it was decided by venue management that they were going to be political about it, even though he was going to come and give a talk about censorship on social media, which to me is very relevant to gun stuff.
That's how I know the name. He was involved in that suit against the Biden administration for all that stuff. Right.
That's right.
Okay.
And he sued China and won several billion, something like that. And what they're like acquiring assets from China. It's crazy lawsuits. So not only was he banned from the property, then I got an email less than an hour from public doors opening. 2 more people were also banned. Johnny B, who is the meme lord, and then Paul from Legally Armed America. Both of those 2 guys also got kicked out of the property because they had, quote unquote, and I did a whole video on this, and I think you guys should watch it. What was it? Controversial platform, strong political opinions and controversial platforms. That's it. That's all we were told. And they tried to torpedo the whole event over what I can only assume was transgender issues or having an opinion that was different. And
How did they not foresee this knowing what the event was, though? It's not like you invited a bunch of radicals who were totally unrelated to, even if you had, by the way. I mean, I'm not in favor of them policing perspectives in this way, but you didn't dump surprises on them. Why did they agree to accept this event at their venue in the first place?
They are greedy and moronic, I guess. I really don't know. Because, during our early conversations, the management person said that they were concerned about our people protesting because they had non-traditional weddings at this place.
What?
And I was like, we don't care. Like, nobody's going to care. Why would we protest our own event? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I was, that was kind of the only thing. And then, on that last day, like the day of the event, I'm getting these emails and she's like, you did this on purpose. You withheld information. I'm like, I publicly promoted all of this, you moron. Yeah, it was not a great thing. And it was just reinforcement that, we're not through this. The culture war is alive and well among idiots.
Well, what do you do for your attendees? Like, let's say, I don't know, what percent of people. So Bailey and the others, they were just banned from the event. They couldn't participate or what?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know how many are there for the Missouri Attorney General or not, but when you go to buy a ticket, you're looking at the lineup and you're assessing what you're interested in. Presumably some people were interested in what he had to say. So what do you do for the attendee who bought a ticket, who went to Cleveland, who did all this stuff, and then the venue rug pulls? How do you manage that? This maybe isn't as bad as Sig Sauer, but it's close. So you have experience in this. See, what did you do?
I've done PR I have a marketing company that I own, and that it sort of is the umbrella over my content as well as consulting work. So I've done this before. Basically all I could do in the instance of the GunCon event was go, look, I'm sorry. This is out of my hands. I had nothing to do with this idiot, trying to pull the rug out from under us. And unfortunately, those people weren't able to be in the building that day. We had a lot of questions. There were people that drove from all over the country.
Yeah.
I think maybe, this is not a certainty, but perhaps next year I may offer the people that came this year a sort of bonus discount on tickets for next year. Because, I'm not making a lot of money on this. This is not like, I'm not a big corporation. We don't charge crazy prices. So I'm not going out and buying a freaking Bentley with the GunCon money. I'm putting the GunCon money into next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to do this in such a way that like we can go, look, I understand you're pissed. I'm pissed. I hated this. Like the idea that they just decided because of unrelated issues that we weren't going to be on the property, and then came to me and said things like, we are the subject of hate and harm. That's what they said. And I have a video on the Gun Collective on YouTube. You can go watch it. It's just absurd to its core. It's an absurd position to take on the last day. And then they threw their hands up and said, I don't know why people are acting this way. I don't know why people have these opinions.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I take it different venue next year. Is it a different city?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. We will never be back in Cleveland. I will say that. Not with 100% certainty. Cleveland is a fuck no. That's never happening again.
I've only been once, and that was enough. No offense to anybody in the Cleveland area. I'm sure
I will say, offense to Cleveland. I'm throwing some offense your way. That city is entirely made of ghetto. What the fuck is that? There's not a nice section of Cleveland. What is going on there? I had some personal interactions with people that work for the city that went well. I won't name names or anything like that, but I had some interactions with people that did go well. But the city as a whole, no fucking thanks. We are going to go elsewhere. I don't know where yet for next year. We're looking at a bunch of places. But this was a big learning experience, and I want to make sure that people know what happened, because this sort of attack on gun owners is only one type of thing that we deal with at all times, and it just sucked to deal with.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Was there something good that happened at GunCon?
Yeah, we had a lot of good stuff happen. A whole bunch of new product launches, a bunch of new brands showing off their latest and greatest. I mean, we gave away probably $40,000-$50,000 worth of stuff.
Wow.
That day. I mean, the event is incredible. We sold more tickets than we ever had before, to a point where we had to stop letting people in. The fire marshal showed up. That's another unrelated issue, I hope. Yeah, we blew the doors off of Cleveland, and man, oh man, lots of great people, lots of cool new products, lots of great brands, new creators. The event as a whole, despite the bullshit, went really, really well.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if people want to sign up for updates for next year's GunCon, go to guncon.net, and you can be the first to learn what next year's non-Cleveland venue will be, and all the other details about the upcoming event. And you haven't actually. I have one more question. Are P320s allowed? Can you carry a P320 at GunCon, or is that banned?
I am not going to make that statement now, considering I don't know.
It's Glock mandatory.
But man, that would be so funny.
All right.
That's my kind of humor right there. like you know what? The event for this year is over, but we're preemptively going to say not next year.
Is there anything else you want to discuss before you're out of here?
Yeah, the entire world is run by pedophiles, and Ghislaine Maxwell should be hung and quartered.
I thought you said you didn't want to get in trouble about these topics. I applaud your courage.
Softball version of it, man.
Oh, okay. No, that's the PR guy version. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now that you've breached the topic, do you have any hope for more information coming from Miss Maxwell, or is this another rug pull in the making potentially?
Is she supposed to say stuff?
We don't really know. It's like we don't know why the DOJ is talking to her, what information she may have, or what she's shared. Her lawyer is saying Ghislaine talked about like 100 people with Todd Blanche, the deputy AG. But okay, what information was given, and who are those 100 people? Don't know.
They are just stringing the American public along about this. I genuinely believe that there are people within the government in very, very high-ranking positions that will be implicated in child sex trafficking, and not just in this country. I think this is a global governmental issue and potentially an issue run by several nation states. Like, this issue goes so much deeper than what that's what I firmly believe. I think
several nation states.
That's right.
Hey, Mr. PR guy, are you going to specify, or PR guy, I should say. Pierre, what are you, a Frenchman? PR man. You going to specify that accusation?
I think at the very least, the United States was well aware of what was happening there. And there is a country in the Middle East that is currently bombing the hell out of their own country. They are also likely involved because of Epstein's role with them, and therefore Ghislaine Maxwell's role with them. The ties go so deep. I don't know. I'm just a dude here in a basement in Pennsylvania. I don't know for certain what the hell actually happened, and I'm kind of glad I don't. But I do not believe that there is no list. I do not believe that they weren't aware of this. He has so many ties. Epstein had so many ties deep into Washington and into worldwide governments. We're just supposed to believe that all these pictures of those people together happened and they never went to his house and never went to this island and didn't see the underage girls. Bullshit.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
That's my guest, Jon Patton. Find him at the Gun Collective, the Gun Collective, right? theguncollective.com. John, is there anything else you'd like to promote before you're out of here?
I would like for people to make sure that they subscribe to your channel.
Oh, thank you.
And make sure they have the updates turned on, because that's one of the biggest things that is very important. If you enjoy this show, you get a little kick out of it, you want to participate on a regular basis, hit that bell, get the notifications, get the emails, put your cell phone number in, because the big tech companies do not want you to know about this kind of information.
I need to hire you as my PR guy. And maybe we have, maybe we could have some. I know you do media consultation, so maybe I should talk to you about some of this wisdom. Anyway, appreciate it, John. Good to talk to you as always, and thank you for your insight. And I'll catch you next time.
See you soon, brother.
All right, there he goes, Jon Patton, GunCollective.com. I will be right back with Robert. We'll get into your super chats. Stand by.
Stand back and stand by.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to Jon Patton. TheGunCollective.com is where you find him. We got to take a few super chats, Robert, unless you have anything to say before we hop into those.
I agree with his theory that governments are involved.
I mean, whatever your... Yeah, the theory that Trump is protecting himself from being implicated, I mean, I don't know. The weirder this gets, the more I'm open to that, because I do find his behavior bizarre. But it does seem the more likely explanation is the one I heard Thomas Massie talking about this morning, which is, yeah, it's probably not Trump himself. It's probably friends of his, people in positions of power, in government, in business, people he knows he doesn't want to put in a troubled position like that.
100%. If Trump was truly implicated personally, the New York Times would have already engraved it on the moon. Like, this would have happened prior to the election.
Well, the Wall Street Journal already had it while you were gone. Trump drew boobs and wrote, "Love you, Jeff," or whatever it was. Anyway, we got to get into a little bit of super chat here. Over on Rumble, Yakko1977 More squirrels have been arrested than anyone on the Epstein list, which is true. Well, was the squirrel arrested or was he just killed? I forget how that played out.
I think it was killed. And the other animal. It was a squirrel.
Peanut and I think the raccoon's name was Fred.
Yes, a raccoon. Yep.
Everybody forgets about Fred. Poor Fred. That's true, though. I am not confident in that changing. Same with Obama and Russiagate. He'll claim executive privilege. Well, with the Obama story, given the Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity, even if they come out and charge Obama, that seems pretty dicey insofar as Obama appears to have been acting with the intel community. Now, if he fabricated intel or told them to create intel, that's obviously not what a president should be doing. The question is that a constitutional, is that constitutional conduct? Is that an official act? It would, given the Supreme Court's decision earlier, it would be at least presumed protected conduct, presumed immune from prosecution.
It appears to me to be the same way, like it would require impeachment.
Yeah, good luck. Well, not for Obama, he's already out, so it doesn't matter. I was thinking of Trump, yeah.
No. I'm thinking of Obama, like, if they're immune under their official capacity so that they cannot be tried for that. I am kind of guessing, and this is just me guessing, but that doesn't mean that the president would be completely immune. It means that then you would have to follow the impeachment process. If you discovered somebody did something wrong in their official capacity, like if while they're in office, they'd have to be impeached.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that even after office is what the court is saying. It's like, it doesn't mean like, oh, you're no longer in office, so you're completely free and clear. You have to go through that political process. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
I guess you're saying impeach a former president as though he's president?
I could be completely wrong on this, but that's kind of the understanding I walked away with, of like, yeah, you can't just prosecute the guy because the Constitution requires impeachment, but it seems to me that option would still exist. But that's,
So
again,
what you're saying is that impeachment would be a prerequisite for criminal prosecution, or what that, because otherwise the impeachment has no function other than like symbolism.
Okay. That's what I mean. Like, just like the Constitution requires for a sitting president to be impeached before being prosecuted, it seems to me that the court is saying, well, that's the way you deal with official acts, is through the impeachment process. And it seems to me that just because his term has ended, it doesn't close that window. But again, maybe I keep saying this, maybe I'm totally wrong. I just have a hard time with the court essentially saying, no, like if this was in his official capacity and his term ended, he could have killed 20 people in cold blood, but whatevs. We're moving on.
Yeah, well, I until they actually bring a charge, and of course it may be different. Charging Obama is obviously the biggest hurdle, but Tulsi is talking like Clapper's implicated, like Comey's implicated, like Brennan is implicated. Would be easier to criminally charge those guys theoretically. Yeah. Bring a charge, and I'll care. I know, I actually believe the allegations against Obama. I know that some are saying the intel report is being misread, and there are intel reports after the fact that maybe are in conflict with some of the things she's saying. Tulsi, that is. Could I believe that Obama faked intel to try to get Trump? Yeah, I definitely could believe that. But I've heard so many stories about all the corruption and all the people we're going to get and everyone's going to jail. Until someone actually goes to jail, my appetite for it is all but expired. So I can't believe you until you give me a reason to believe you. And I'm just tired of the showmanship. But anyway, Elbot. Thank you, Elbot. Appreciate it very much, as always.
I am not going to be niggardly.
Palatine. That's interestingly enough, that's the street I went to school on in Portland, Oregon. Palatine Hill Road. Anyway, Matt, I've been back from Vegas for a week now. It was a great time. The only problem is that now I have a burning sensation when I pee. Okay, well, good luck with that. I don't know if Comply helps with that. I might have to get some other medication. Mm-hmm. Over on YouTube and Tippy, let me get that one going. I've got Odyssey here too. Blankets, Matt, what is your favorite and least favorite viral video? The Hawk to a Girl video, the Plane Lady. That motherfucker's not real, that lady. or Shiloh, N-Bomb, Hendrix, or the Coldplay Kiss Cam video. I think they're all in this soundboard somewhere. I'm going to try to find my... Can I find my favorite one in here? Stand by. Let me see if I can get it.
Why don't you have the balls to say it right now again?
Fuck you, nigger.
Yeah, Shiloh. I'm going with Shiloh. That was a pretty intense stream. You were on that one, Robert. And do you have a favorite out of those viral women?
Man, I really like that mother effer is not real.
Tiffany Gomez was her name.
You know, the reaction after the fact when she wouldn't explain herself and like would go on podcasts, whatever, that kind of ruined it. But the initial video was quite good.
Yeah. I guess I lost that one. It's in here somewhere. I know it is, but whatever. My problem with Tiffany Gomez, and maybe it is a little bit personal in that way. I was able to get in touch with Tiffany Gomez's PR person or agent after that incident happened, because of course I want to talk to her. And it sounded like that I could arrange that, but then I had to send her a list of questions ahead of time and get them all approved. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. And then it seemed like instead of just explaining what she saw or thought she saw, it became like an engagement farm. Yeah. And so I kind of lost respect for it at that point. And it seems like you probably just did a bunch of drugs and had a bad day. Fair enough. Matt, are there any other fruits you thought of making? You talking about my garden? We got lots of strawberries, but those are the only... We had a discussion about what counts as fruit. And I guess everything does, pretty much.
By the way, I bought the travel gaming case from your sponsor.
All right. That's great. Let me know how you like it when it arrives. You can give us a review when we're back from break. So yeah, strawberries are the fruit of choice in the garden right now. Matt, what do you think about separating the art from the artist? Oh boy, do I try. Because I actually do believe in that. I don't have to love everything. I can love someone's work, whether it's in the form of art like music or a painting or photography, without having to agree with every single personal view they have. And as long as you don't shove it in my face, if I follow a band, for example, I don't care what your politics are. You make music that I like. I don't care if you agree with me politically or not. That's why I'm not here. So often these days, though, they force it on you. Like, stop telling me who to vote for before the election. Stop saying I have to agree with you to be a good person. Make the music, make the photography, believe what you want. I'm not going to police you for that. But it's like these artists make it a precondition for enjoying their work. And then I'm out. Like, I'm not trying to impose on you. I just want to enjoy your work, but you're telling me I can't. So I guess I have to leave now.
Yeah, you know, I think about that like when people put the trans flag outside their business. It's like, let's say it's a coffee shop.
Yeah.
If you didn't put the flag there, then that's not part of the transaction. Like, I can go into your shop.
The transaction.
Yeah. And, you know, and maybe you super duper support trans people or whatever, but you didn't make it part of the transaction. But the minute you put the flag on the front door or whatever, then I can no longer separate your product, you know, kind of the artist from the art, because you made it part of the deal. And so you now put me to the choice of, do I support the whole trans movement or not? And I just find that sometimes people will, and I'm not talking about the guy who super chatted. I'm just saying the people who put the flag on there, they want to play both ways. It's like, well, you know, yeah, like you can just come in and get a coffee. You don't have to agree with me. But also, I'm making you aware you're supporting the trans people.
Yeah, when it says all are welcome here, I know that means not me. So I leave. AP over on YouTube. Here's some shekels for more duct tape for my favorite duct tape production. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you.
We love you. You're very special.
Appreciate that. And I hope to do some duct tape upgrades over the break. So we'll see what I can figure out tech-wise. All right, we will leave chats there, and we'll come back to them at the end of the stream.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
Hopping back into the news, this isn't strictly Epstein related, but it kind of is, and it's related to what we're just talking about in terms of charge people and put them in jail, or I'm not listening anymore. Now, throughout the Epstein controversy, as perhaps you saw while you were gone, Robert, I have been watching attentively about what Dan Bongino will do, of course, the deputy FBI director. And reportedly, he had this big fight internally with Pam Bondi at a meeting right after Pam Bondi and the DOJ put out that memo on that Sunday night, bizarrely, that said, actually, there is no Epstein list, and actually, he didn't blackmail anybody. And really, that's the end of it. So let's just move on. So it was reported that Dan Bongino was considering resigning, and then he just didn't. He hasn't really said anything publicly about Epstein, though he has commented on other ongoing things at the DOJ and the FBI on his X account. It would seem that Dan Bongino has been talked back from the ledge at the FBI, at least for now. Maybe there are still ongoing discussions. It's not that long ago, so who knows? But everybody's dissatisfied with these big promises under-delivered, and presumably that's what Dan is not happy about too. Big promises, under-delivery from Pam Bondi. And so they had this fight, and maybe they remain in conflict, who knows? But yesterday, Dan Bongino tweeted another cryptic big promise about what's to come. He said regarding the corruption and political weaponization at the DOJ and FBI, not even a specific thing, just like general deep state corruption allegations. Quote, the director, as in Kash Patel and I, are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. It'll never be the same, or I'll never be the same, after learning what I've learned. We are going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We are going to get the answers we all deserve. As with any investigation, I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at truth, not my truth or your truth, but the truth. Great. I mean, I guess generally I agree with those aims. Why, though, does the DOJ continue to make big promises generically before the goods are delivered? The Epstein scandal at this point is really only partly about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell themselves, though, of course, that's very important. What they are accused of, and indeed convicted of in Ghislaine's case, very serious crimes. However, the big promises about exposing all those implicated and not delivering anything, that is its own tangential scandal that is at least as big, if not bigger. And so I don't say this to dump on Dan. I trust Dan. I like Dan. I believe he's an honest guy. I think he's trying to do the right thing. I hope he will do exactly what he says he's going to do with this tweet, expose and root out the corruption. I just don't understand. What is it at the DOJ? Why do you guys advertise things in grand terms before they're ready? Why are you promoting things that are not yet delivered when repeatedly that's the biggest part? If maybe not the biggest, again, the child sex trafficking is quite important. But you have blown this Epstein thing up by the inability to deliver on promises. And then you come out with promises about Obama. And then you come out with even broader promises about generic people in the deep state who we're going to get. Just you wait and see. Why? Why can't they just shut up and say, yeah, got some important investigations going. I've seen some compelling information that I think is going to lead to justice, or we're pursuing it. But investigation's ongoing. I can't comment on it yet. Why is that so hard? Why does everything have to be this giant show beforehand?
Yeah, I hate it as well. I mean, this is just clickbait. It's the equivalent of you'll never believe what we discovered. But then you click on the video and they actually never tell you. It seems to me this is a deliberate effort to distract people from the Epstein thing. Like they just never, by they mostly I mean Trump and his team or whatever. I think Trump never realized that the Epstein story wouldn't go away. I don't think he understood that this gets to the core of why he was elected. Like people want him to go after, throw the book. That's what we mean, not violent, whatever. Throw the book at these people who've been above the law for so long. And then when it came to the Epstein thing, it sure seems like he's now covering for the political class. And people are fed up with it. And so what else can they do but grandstand and say, oh, but wait. We have great things coming down the pipeline.
I guess it's at some point I'm just going to need to see one of these great things. And of course I hope to look like an idiot in a few months, a few years' time. Look at all the great things they did. You weren't patient enough. Great. If it brings justice, I hope I was wrong, and I hope I was foolishly impatient. It's just, I don't want to be the person who demands immediate gratification on everything. I know these things are complicated. There's a process. You have to operate within it for good reason. I've never been an immediate gratification guy. I'm fine with things that take a while to develop. It's just you're telling me to expect this gratification. Like, stop. Just do your job, and we'll all decide once it's done if it was a good job or a bad job. I don't need the advertisement ahead of time. But you're right. Now, I do feel it's exactly like how I feel on YouTube or somewhere else. You won't believe it's Dan Bongino might as well be doing the Home Alone face. It shocked me to my core. I've had enough. And I don't mean to pick on Dan individually. It's like, why does I guess I'm just kind of surprised to see this behavior from him. That's all. Because he seemed like the sort of guy who's not going to do that kind of behavior. And then everybody goes to the DOJ, and it's like part of the rules at the DOJ. You have to do, at least Pam Bondi's DOJ. You have to do this. You have to do the upsell and then deliver jack squat. That's part of the job. Anyway.
I agree with you. Dan seems like an honest man, but I think this shows what the system can do to somebody. Like, I'm sure somebody like him goes into this job thinking, I'm going to do great things. And then the system just breaks you. You end up just being a PR dude for whatever, the president's agenda.
Well, I hope I circle back on it and am completely wrong in the near future. But until then, I had never heard, as we were talking about earlier, I'd never heard of this app called The Tea. And it is, or tea, not The Tea. I always want to call it The Tea because you spill the tea. That's the premise here. But in fairness to me, this is a pretty new development, and I've been completely out of the internet dating world for many, many years now. But yes, Tea, this app Tea, based on the metaphorical concept of spilling the tea, giving the details, gossiping. That's what you do on the Tea app. It's an app for women who anonymously ask about men they've encountered, or maybe they've considered, or they're considering dating. Maybe they matched on Tinder, whatever. The idea is women share information with each other about men, ideally and by design to protect each other from creepy behavior, predatory behavior, whatever else. Sharing red flags with each other is the idea. But it's a little bit imbalanced insofar as you have anonymous women talking about men with their real photos and real names. And I think we know the sort of clucking hen dynamic that is likely to create. This is a bunch of catty women scorned, talking shit, and airing dirty laundry on the internet where a lot of it probably doesn't belong. Now, don't get me wrong. Maybe if you're in Moscow, Idaho, and you think, yeah, I met up with this guy named Brian Koberger, and he told me all about his sharp knife. I would stay away from him. There probably are instances in which this is useful or pursuant to what was probably in the minds of the designers when they made this. But, of course, there's going to be a lot of abuse. And my understanding is over the course of the last couple of years that this app has been operating, there has been a lot of abuse, at least as alleged by men who have been criticized by women on this app and singled out by women on this app. They've tried to get their information removed. They've said it violates certain privacy laws, all that sort of stuff. And there's an interesting quote in this AP reporting from a London Times reporter, a female columnist for the London Times. And so she used this app for a little while. She said it's just a man-shaming site for vigilante justice, relying on the scruples of anonymous women. And with Tea on the scene, this columnist asks, why would men ever date women again? Or why, if you're, I mean, I guess if you want to build a family, it is a prerequisite. But if you have to risk a bad breakup or just a misunderstanding being thrown all over the internet with your name and face on it, like you've done the worst crime of the century, like if one bad dating experience makes you undateable to all the internet's women in the future, it's very high risk for men. And of course, most of them are not killers, rapists, criminals, the sort of people who deserve to be shamed this way. For all you know, like when I look back on my own behaviors with women when I was younger, there's nothing that I'm like, I didn't do anything criminal. I didn't do anything heinous. But there are all sorts of behaviors that I engaged in that, looking back now as what I hope is a more mature man, I would change. I would do differently. And if I could talk to those women now, I'd say, yeah, I didn't handle that right. And I would handle. It's very weird to go back 10, 15 years. I'm not going to text them and be like, yeah, that was bullshit by me. I'm sorry about that. But if I had a face-to-face conversation with them, I would say that. My point is, if I dated someone 5 years ago and we had a bad experience for whatever reason, whoever's fault it was, is it really fair to chase me down personally and apply all those accusations in a place where I can't even defend myself? Maybe I grant the accusations and say, yeah, it was bad behavior by me, but I've changed as a man because I see the error of my ways. There's so many elements of unfairness in this design that, of course, you're going to get what if you keep doing this? You're going to get enemies. You are releasing private information about people or making accusations against them in a way that they can't defend themselves. You're going to make enemies. And so the company says it got hacked, and thousands of images, including selfies, have been leaked online.
Good.
And as I mentioned at the top of the show, it's not good to steal data. All right, it's theft. It's not good to dox people. This ended up not really being doxing in terms of information, maybe doxing of photos. But the whole service exists to target people with questionable, unverified, unverifiable accusations. It's hard for me to feel sympathy when there's a little bit of vigilante justice against this sort of thing. The data leaked are apparently entirely photos, or almost entirely photos. It's 72,000 images, including 13,000 images of selfies or photo identification. So as far as I gather, for a woman to use this software, she has to verify her identity through a selfie, although her identity is not viewable on the app. It's all anonymous hen clucking. But there's some sort of verification that you have to do to establish your account by submitting a photo. And it's those photos that have been leaked. And then there are 59,000 more photos that are collected here that were actually publicly viewable on the app from posts. The reporting says direct messages were also accessed. I'm not clear if the content of the messages has actually been leaked. Accessed is different, I suppose, than published, but no email addresses or phone numbers exposed. Anyway, one of the funnier parts of the data leak or the photo leak is that we're just getting a bunch of collages of people's photos. So we have like all of their verification photos of these women and like photos of all the men that they were shaming on this clucking hen website T or app T. And the comparison's a little bit unfair because, of course, the photos of these men are from their social media profiles. So these are photos that they wanted to feature to make themselves look good. The photos of the women are like selfies they took, maybe even on the toilet while they verified their account for this app. So it's not a totally fair comparison, but a lot of people are laughing at what they view as a collage of rather frumpy women attacking a collection of rather normal-looking dudes. Draw whatever conclusions from the photos you may. But I found this story to be fascinating. As always, the more convenient, quote unquote, that dating has become with the internet, the worse it seems to get. Men, because we don't have to anymore, and I include myself in this when I was in the dating market, we're not skilled in or even courageous enough to approach women out in the wild because of the convenience of internet dating. And then even if we go to the convenient route of the internet stuff, well, now if you have like one misstep, if you do one thing wrong, you make one mistake, all the women are going to gather on the internet and just gossip about what a piece of shit you are and make you undateable to the broader community. So it's amazing to me how the easier things get, the more convenient they are. You now have access to the proverbial plenty of fish in the sea that are out there. They're all on your phone, in your pocket. Never been more convenient, but the obstacles seem to be more serious than ever. So I don't know. I guess maybe they'll be more cautious with the T going forward, because now that the website's been hacked, who knows what they'll say.
Hopefully, right? Hopefully this like gives them some sense of accountability. I hate that a website like this exists. Like you're only getting one side of the story, and in relationships, we all know that if you're only getting one side of the story, you're probably missing some crucial facts.
Yeah.
And then these guys can't even defend themselves. No, this is a despicable website. This is terrible, and I feel bad for the guys out there that are having to go through this. But I think at least maybe a positive takeaway is, if a guy's trying to date a girl and the girl says, well, I went to this website and they said things about you, just break up with the girl. It's like, you shouldn't be going to those websites. Just, we're done.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to screen them if she has ever used T. But man, the problem is, now that all this stuff is so easily available, all this internet, finding people who are not caught up in this, even if they weren't trying to be, for every guy who wasn't trying to be a piece of crap when he made a mistake and then he gets, defamed on T, there are also girls or women who have been conditioned to believe that men are nothing but predators and we have to watch out for them. And so she's on T because she thinks that any given guy might rape her because of the myths of feminism and rape culture and all this nonsense. So I guess I'd need to see how active, like how much shit did you talk on T? Just the account I might be willing to forgive.
Oh,
but
I don't know. I would dodge that bullet. I don't know. I don't really participate in all this stuff, and so in social media or whatever. So I don't know if a girl was like, I'm going to all these sites to research you. I think on this spot, I'd be like, cool, that's great. We have nothing else to talk about.
I mean, everybody does that to some extent. People have a new person they're considering dating or something. You Facebook stalk them is the old saying. Now, Facebook maybe is not the place you do that anymore. I don't know what the kids are doing these days. I don't know where you go to stalk, but everybody does the internet stalking to try to figure out who the person is. And yeah, I mean, even that's kind of weird. Like, if you want to know the person, you should just talk to the person rather than doing this weird internet search. But at least that is getting information from you as you would like it presented, rather than an anonymous shit talker who hates you and is out there strictly to ruin your reputation. At least that's a presentation by you, which is a little more honest.
Oh, yeah. I think the conclusion of the story is we all need to be going after Mennonite women who are not looking at any of this.
Scoop them up while you can get them.
That's right.
Speaking of the need to curtail the worst feminine impulses, a herd of leftist women, maybe herd is an overstatement. I don't know. A collection of 3 of them. A few hens from the hen house escaped. And they attempted to intervene in some ICE arrests in Encinitas, California. This is north of San Diego on Friday. And an Instagram account called Life by Danny made this post, apparently believing the video makes these women look heroic. But says Life by Danny, I was driving home from Trader Joe's this morning. You don't say, Danny. She was driving home from Trader Joe's after she dropped her son off at summer camp and saw ICE tying these people up at Home Depot. I watched as these 2 people were disappeared into unmarked vehicles, with one of the ICE vehicles trying to back into me when I wasn't looking. Another woman tried to help. An ICE agent tried to slap her phone down when she tried to get a phone number to call the man's family. They wouldn't let her. Instead, they whisked him away and accused him of obstructing justice. This man won't return to his family tonight, and his family will probably never know what happened to him. This is the America we're living in. Here's a video of the events that Danny was talking about.
Don't fucking push me. You're taking him before I can take a phone number from him?
You need to stop. Right there.
You need to stop kidnapping people off the fucking street.
100%.
You just dragged him away when I'm trying to call his family for him.
We're making an arrest. You need to stay
Show
back
me your
from my
arrest
way.
warrant then. Show me your arrest warrant.
I don't need to show you anything.
Yeah, because you're a liar.
You're not an interested party. You have no right to see that.
Stop! You guys are kidnapping people off the fucking street. Yeah, because what? Because someone came over to help them. You have to rush and get them in the fucking car.
You're being obnoxious and a lady.
Not being obstructive. You're being obnoxious.
This is 100%. 100%.
You guys have no conscience.
Yep.
If you're doing something right, take your mask off then. Yeah, you're being cowards.
And unmarked cars.
I was I'm trying to help them and you have to hurry up and get out of here. F you.
More people in unmarked cars. Yep. Yeah, just trying to like trying to run us over.
Get out of our f***ing city.
Get the hell out. Go find a job that you can feel good about.
No kidding.
If you're proud of your job, take your f***ing mask off.
Seriously.
Disgusting.
I hate you all. Die, die, die.
100%. Seriously, 100%. Great commentary. Thank you.
Very helpful.
Now, I don't want to be put in the position of excusing data theft. I don't want to be put in the position of advocating a light backhand, but I don't know if I've ever seen a situation more in more desperate need of a backhand than that.
Glad you said that. I was having the same thought, but I was like, that's a little too edgy. I'm not gonna say that. So
just tasteful smacking. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying a bruise. Okay. Okay. Let me explain what I mean by that. A bunch of hysterical women telling border law enforcement to get out of their country. I mean, the irony there is we wouldn't be in this situation if we had properly secured our country from, they said get out of our city, I guess. But yes, some people don't belong in your city. And if we properly police the issue, we won't have this problem in the first place. That sort of insanity, that energy that they have there plus power creates a failed country. And when I joke about how to stop this sort of energy, that's what I mean. What I mean is these women exist completely removed from reality. And the reality is at any point per T, a man can backhand you. Okay. And they might be men from an invading force who come here to do you great harm. So maybe a little bit of deference to your men to protect you from the threats that exist in this world is a good thing to have. If you exist in a delusion where no man is ever going to exert physical dominance over you in such a way, that's what happens. You think you can run a country through this bizarre infinite empathy or infinite inclusion of people who will actually destroy. It's such a weird thing going on there. And to me, it all stems from the fact that they are so removed from the physical reality of the world that they think they can just talk shit to a bunch of men and face no consequences. And to their point, they didn't. They weren't arrested for obstruction, even though they probably could have been. They weren't backhanded. The reality is, for all the talk of like women's oppression and stuff, that is the most comfortably obnoxious a woman has ever been in the history of the world. And still, we're supposed to believe that toxic masculinity is the problem. Well, carry that attitude into a world where the masculinity actually is toxic, as in hostile to you, instead of protecting you. You're going to find out. You're going to find out exactly why the sort of protection that you're condemning is actually worthwhile, and maybe you should consider it. But I don't know. That lady has a T account. You know that she does.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think it's so annoying because it is performative. Like she knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that nothing will happen to her. So that's why she can be quote unquote so brave. But there's no bravery here because again, she knows, and she is right, sadly, that nothing will happen to her. And we all know this as we watch it. So it's like, just like, you're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. You're not brave. We all know this is a show. Even you know it's a show. Just stop it. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And that was just like a regular arrest with, I mean, as plain vanilla of an arrest as you can get.
I want to know the details on that guy because generally speaking, the story is we're actually not scooping up like day laborers at Home Depot. Now, that has been the meme. They're abducting people from Home Depot. For the most part, that's not what ICE has actually been doing. I do note, though, that this legitimately occurred at a Home Depot. So the question comes to mind, is that just Jose, the guy who works for contractors for the day from Home Depot? Or is that Jose, the guy who actually committed a very heinous crime and happens to be at Home Depot? Yeah. Don't necessarily know. But I want the full information, and I want her. Somebody please track her down. I'll have Lululemon Lady on the show, and we can get the full information and say, this guy, here's this guy's rap sheet. Are you not at least a little happy to have that out of your community? But the stuff that she says, too, like you're abducting people. If this is legal, lady, you have no idea why he's being arrested. Well, we have a warrant for his arrest. Show me the warrant. I don't care if my neighbor is getting arrested. It is not my business to go intervene with law enforcement and say, I, neighbor guy, demand to see the warrant. Now, if the warrant is bunk or absent, that is a matter that will be resolved in court later. But I've never heard of this, like, citizen gets to object or obstruct an arrest in progress based on your own personal, unrelated demand to see a warrant. Not a thing I've ever seen before.
No, it is ridiculous. The level of self-control that the officers, in this case the ICE officers,
they're even better than the ones who didn't shoot Maxine in the face.
Incredible. Like, it would take everything having me not to react. And I'm not saying I would like punch a lady or something. No, but like to not even make a comment, to be like, shut up or something, incredible level of restraint.
Yeah. Well, as always, they just get dumped on and no appreciation for the job that they're doing. If you have a legal job, why don't you show your face? Because you don't care if what they're doing is lawful. If you had a picture of his face, you're going straight to T and putting it on there to talk shit about him. You don't care about fidelity to the law. I guarantee what they were doing is perfectly in compliance with federal law that governs this matter. I would bet my life to it. But it's just like she assumes any arrest is unlawful. Like, if a Mexican guy is getting arrested, it must be unlawful, I guess. This is... future courts may decide that way, but for now, they don't. I don't know. Anyway, another fascinating viral video this week. So, I don't know. We'll see how we deal with this growing problem of unchallenged female energy going forward.
I feel like those kinds of women are going to go through the same process as the lady from the Young Turks, that like got attacked by a guy. And then
I shouldn't laugh because Anna Kasparian actually had a bad experience. It is bad, but yes.
And I don't wish that on anyone. I want to be very clear. But I feel like this whole energy that we watch in this video immediately runs out when they're attacked by a man. And then
Anna Kasparian's story, as far as I understand it, is, I believed in delusions until a hobo with a boner humped me when I was picking up my dog's shit.
Yep.
Okay.
And all of a sudden reality just like hits you in the face.
And she was clear about his erection. Okay. He was, that was a convincing factor for her. She's told this story many times. This Lululemon lady is going to get humped by a hobo with a boner eventually. She's begging for it. It's coming. Anyway, you ready for some hoax hate?
Absolutely.
All right. Where's my... Oh, here we go. I lost my button for a second.
And now, the nobody saw it happen, but it's totally a product of Trump's America hoax hate crime of the week.
Ah, shit, it's backwards. You think they'll notice?
Jussie Smollett is back. Did he ever even leave?
I am not suicidal!
Are you going to watch the new Netflix Jussie Smollett documentary?
I can't believe this is a thing. I didn't know this was a thing. I may have to.
Well, it is. I actually think this is going to be interesting. This sounds like a teaser from the DOJ. That's how compelling this is. Okay, I'm bought in. The truth about Jussie Smollett ? Is the name of the documentary that's coming out. And of course, Jussie Smollett, what is this going to be about? Jussie Smollett's criminal case is over. He actually got his conviction overturned on double jeopardy grounds at the Illinois Supreme Court. His civil case is over. He reached a settlement with the city of Chicago. What left do we have to explore? Well, it's that ? That's doing a lot of work there in considering what may have happened that fateful polar vortex night in Chicago. This documentary, as they are advertising it, will reveal new evidence that shows what was thought to be a hoax might just be a true story.
I doubt it.
Of course, qualified with a ? To make sure. that it is properly understood. The Truth About Jussie Smollett ? Will premiere on August 22nd. The subtitles, no. The Truth About Jussie Smollett? No. But
okay, but I've said this before. I admire Jussie to no end for never breaking.
That's true.
Never.
Yeah.
Like, incredible.
Now, the one thing about he didn't break, but his story did change. And so if you're going to tell me that suddenly this is true, like you're going to have to reconcile why Jussie's own story changed. Because he said 2 white guys attacked him, and then it became 2 Nigerians, maybe in whiteface. That's a pretty glaring inconsistency that he'll have to explain. But the reason I actually am kind of interested in this, in addition to just the entertainment factor of one more laugh at Jussie, all right, I'll take this ride once more for old time's sake. This is directed by the same guy who, what's his name? This guy, yeah, Gagan Rahill. I don't know how you say his name, but he directed The Tinder Swindler. Speaking of people who need to be exposed on T, have you ever seen The Tinder Swindler? It is just a legendary catfish case. You're familiar with catfishing, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. For people who may not be, pretending to be someone in a dating situation or on social media who you're not, and having like a faux relationship with other people, presenting as someone else. So like Manti Te'o was a famous catfish case. He thought he had a girlfriend who died. It turns out it was like this weird tranny who had been faking him out the whole time. Tinder Swindler was another crazy story in that theme. But the guy who made Tinder Swindler is also making the Jussie Smollett documentary coming out on August 22nd. So I like I said, I have a lot of important things to accomplish on break. Watching The Truth About Jussie Smollett ? is on the list, admittedly. Maybe I'll talk about it in September. Do another one-off movie review, potentially. Don't hold me to it, though. I have no idea. Any other Jussie Smollett thoughts before we move on?
I do want to be clear. He's obviously lying, okay? Like, he's obviously lying. This was a hoax, the whole deal. But I don't know of another case where, like, the person obviously lied and yet stood by his lie, like, years and years and years into it. I guess maybe, well, I don't know, but that just takes a special kind of person to stick with the lie.
Especially in a criminal context. Now, I think what helped him in that is the fact that his conviction was overturned on procedural grounds related to Kim Foxx's prosecutorial botchery.
Yeah.
He was not, as he claims, like acquitted in terms of, he was convicted on the facts. Let's put it that way. Procedurally, the case was botched by Kim Foxx. And so technically he couldn't be convicted because it was not, quote unquote due process. And it was double jeopardy because she said she wouldn't prosecute him and then she did. So I think Jussie was able to twist that into casting doubt on the factual truth of his conviction, like just morph that procedural problem into doubt of the facts, even though the facts were never really in question.
Yeah.
So maybe he has that going for him, but especially in a criminal context where your crime is perjury, false police report, whatever it may be, that a criminal false statement. Who's another example of someone who is stuck to it the whole way through? Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. He's the king of that for sure. Mm-hmm. But all right, in Scripps Ranch, California. Speaking of beating the dead horse here and just going back to the well, Jussie Smollett or this lady in Scripps Ranch, California, which is a San Diego neighborhood. There's a woman with a fence and it's painted in gay pride rainbow colors. And I've talked about this case before, this fence that she has, because every few months, maybe every half year, she emerges. Her fence has been vandalized again. Someone has been hateful to her again. And somehow, even though she has cameras on the fence, the police always come by. A hate crime investigation is launched. The suspects, the perpetrators, they're never caught. And last I heard her doing this was February. Talked about it on the stream in February. She's now back at it again, claiming vandals made, I guess, their semi-annual visit to spray paint vulgarities on the rainbow fence.
This is surveillance video of someone spray painting the security camera in the backyard of Brittany Fuller's family home. It happened on Scripps Trail at around 3 in the morning. Brittany says the suspect is one of 3 vandals who spray painted a homophobic slur on her backyard fence, which is painted in rainbow colors and decorated with gay pride flags.
I'm pansexual, and I came out at 30. You know, my mom's a really big advocate for the LGBTQ community, and that's actually kind of how I became who I am today. My mom always vocal about loving everyone and inclusivity.
But ever since June of 2022, when Brittany and her family began flying several different flags and then painting the fence, their home has been vandalized more than 24 times.
We had a trans flag, a thank you for your service flag, and then we had a U.S. Constitution means. It said, we the people means everyone.
Brittany's fiance is appalled.
Actually, this is like a military home. Brittany's father is a retired Navy SEAL. Like, Brittany is the only civilian that was hand-selected by Mayor Todd Gloria for the caregiver and the veterans family advocacy.
Brittany says no matter how many times it happens, she will continue to clean off the slurs and keep her fence painted in rainbow colors.
Some people say it's loud, but when you're faced with so much hate, you have to be loud, and we're being loud with love.
Bunch of slap-jawed faggots around here.
Many of those people probably have AIDS.
Do you have to be loud? Have you tried shutting up? Because if you tried being quiet and tried acting like a normal person, maybe you wouldn't get so much hate. That's a novel theory. What's the definition of insanity? Try the same thing over and over again, expect a different result. Yeah, try shutting up. Maybe this problem will resolve. Of course, the hate is the point, though. This is the attention-seeking behavior of a crazy woman. But I wanted to. I searched because it wasn't. I don't know what slur was written on there. I always want to know what the slur is. Couldn't find it. But I listened to some other reporting about this story, and they said it's not just a slur that was painted on the fence. It was actually some sort of vulgar drawing.
Taggers first painted over Fuller's security camera lens, then proceeded to paint a hateful slur toward the LGBTQ plus community. They added sexually explicit drawings next to it.
So maybe it was a mural of Anna Kasparian getting red-pilled or something like that. Who knows what it might have been.
They're pansexual. No matter what they drew on there, they're like, yeah, I'm into that.
I mean, by definition, yes, it must have been. If it's a picture of a thing, it was sexual in nature.
That's right.
So, but I couldn't find. I always love the drawings when the drawings are available. I couldn't find it. I searched and searched, no uncensored depiction. But the other piece of this story, the husband guy there, whatever's going on with him. Oh, this is a military family. Her dad was a Navy SEAL. Very strange for a military family to be flying the U.S. flag upside down. You may have seen some of the like small ones on the fence that are upside down, but it's also a large one on a flagpole. Again, provoking the rage is the point. She pisses people off, so they tell her off, and then she uses that hostility to justify these ridiculous behaviors. Check out the flag scene.
Besides the pride flag flying overhead, Fuller hoisted an inverted American flag, to the outrage of this man.
The flag's coming down.
We have more, so go for it.
Hey, people died for that flag. Loser.
The upside-down flag is generally considered a distress signal.
This is the very reason that the flag is inverted. This is hate on people's identity. It's hate on who we are.
She is the very reason that HOAs exist. I've never been an HOA. If I was here, I'm HOA president, and I'm using every authority I have to force her to paint that fence an earth tone color. Could you imagine being in the neighborhood and trying to sell your home next to this absolute display of jackassery?
I mean, it really would hurt the value of your home, because like if I was a buyer and I saw that's the neighbor, I'm not buying. That's a crazy lady I don't want to deal with.
It's an interesting hypothetical. If a home was perfect and even at a very compelling price, and this was the neighbor, would I subject my children to that? Would I deal with this nuisance? Is the house at half price? I mean, how good is the deal? It's got to be. I think you're right that it's absolutely a consideration.
Yeah, this would be crazy. I mean, if I bought the home next door, I would turn into the kids spray painting the fence. Like I'd put on the mask and go spray paint it. And,
I don't even understand what she means though. Like she leverages the criticism. You put up an upside down flag and someone around the 4th of July said, fuck off. I like America. And then you say, well, that just shows that all my gestures of pro-gay pride stuff are justified. He's just there to tell you to fuck off for disrespecting the American flag. I don't think he even cares about the rainbow, or if he does, he didn't vocalize it. He just said, fuck off with your anti-American nonsense.
Yep.
So she farms the hate and then uses that to justify the rest of this ridiculous attention-seeking behavior. And it's been going on since 2022, 24 times. Who are the cops who are on this job? Oh, it's Brittany again. Guess I got to go down there and see what pictures she drew this time. I mean, what are they? How many times is this going to be investigated? They have to know at this point, don't they? Why are we continually doing this charade?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the fact that, I'm going to assume young teenagers continue to go there and spray paint her fence, like it gives me a little bit of hope. That the use is not completely lost.
If it is real and it's not a hoax and it is like neighborhood kids doing it, they are also very good at getting away with it, whatever they're doing, because it's been going on for years.
Yeah, they're like pros at this point. I believe it. I believe if I was a 16-year-old in that neighborhood, 100%. I'm not saying it would have been right. But would I have done this? Yeah, 100%. No. You're getting,
she outright says the fence is begging to be vandalized. And she says herself, well, the attacks on these fences just go to show how this sort of gesture is necessary. Well, that's the point, isn't it? You have to justify yourself to sustain. And so you throw this bait out there, and every time a fish nibbles, you're like, oh, see, told ya.
Yep.
Do you think, lady, do you think anyone would give a rat's ass that you're pansexual? Excuse me. If you just had a normal fence? No. Nobody would waste their time hating you. Nobody cares. But that's the point. I have to make people care. I have to be seen.
Yeah. So 2 quick comments. One not serious and one more serious. The not serious one is when she said, I am pansexual and I came out at 30 years old.
Yeah.
That's just another way of saying I decided to be a pervert later on in life.
I was a 30-year-old woman, childless, and I had to have a purpose.
Yes. Like this is not whatever. But you can tell in the video that this is really what gives purpose to her life. And like in a more serious note, I find that very sad that it's like, this is it. This is what she has going for herself. It's what she decided is meaningful. And it really comes across. So you can't help but feel bad for her and be like, lady, you need to find something true to ground your purpose.
Don't you understand? You have to go down to Home Depot and bait the backhand. That is a much better use of your time. It's not very far, Scripps Ranch to Encinitas. Like, so there's a good club they could form around this sort of thing. But yeah, it is sad. I mean, it's the propaganda that has been fed to women that leads them to bait the backhand down at Home Depot or paint their fence this ridiculous display. Anything to avoid the true and obvious path to female fulfillment and purpose, generally speaking, which is motherhood. And by the way, it's also true of men and dads. It's just we kind of have a longer window to do it. But you're right. Like every piece of outburst like this is another display of female insanity brought on by departure from like what is generally the course of life that brings one who is female happiness, purpose, all those things. To let's put it this way: when you're chasing around a toddler, you don't have time to paint your fence, even if it needs to be painted, because you got stuff going on. This lady needs validation from others, and that's all this is about.
Absolutely.
Did you see? I don't know if you caught last week's stream, but there was another noose at the Nashville football stadium construction site. They're building a new NFL stadium in Nashville, and someone found a noose. And they shut down the whole construction site for a few days, and they forced all these construction workers to do sensitivity training of some kind, even though there was no photo of the noose, no suspect identified, no confirmation that this was in fact a noose placed with hateful intent. We have to stop like a major American $1 billion construction project and put all these people who have nothing to do with it on some sort of training based on allegation alone. That was last week. Now we have an update from the Nashville Police Department. They have concluded their investigation and no charges are anticipated. But apparently they know who did it, or at least they have a person of interest.
Police identify a person of interest after crews find a noose at the new Nissan Stadium construction site. Metro Police say the person of interest was fired last week for an unrelated issue. They reportedly denied responsibility in an interview with detectives today. In a new statement, the State Builders Alliance says the person will not be allowed back at the work site. Police believe this was an isolated incident connected to just one person, but because there were not any other eyewitnesses, the investigation cannot go further. No charges are expected.
So if I understand that correctly, that basically tells me that a guy placed this with some kind of hoax intent. Because if it was placed there for a general work-related reason, there wouldn't be a person of interest. What they're saying is we have reason to believe that a crime occurred, but we don't have an eyewitness. So I guess it could be legitimate. Could it, I'm either supposed to believe a guy got fired and he's very racist and he said, F the ends who work here, I'm going to put a noose up. Or the reverse situation in which maybe a black guy gets fired or some racial minority gets fired, decides, well, on my way out, I'm going to mess with this place and make it look like a bunch of racists work here. And then maybe I can sue for some discrimination or something like that. That seems to me the latter is much more likely. But they're telling me, you tell me, I guess, when they say person of interest, that implies we believe a crime took place. It's just we can't prove it. Am I understanding that correctly?
I mean, they don't even say that much. They're being so, they're riding that fence. Because they're saying there's a person of interest, the person denied responsibility, and we're leaving it at that. So for all we know, it just was like a rope that was left randomly, like on a tree branch or something.
Yeah, I guess my question is, can you be a person of interest in nothing significant at all?
I think, now I can't be certain, but it could be like, yeah, this is a person of interest. They are the ones who left the rope there, but we're not even willing to say it was a crime.
Okay,
they're saying nothing. Maybe they don't want to embarrass the people who claim this was news. Like for them to come out and be like, "Yo, it was just a rope with a knot. Like, move on with your life." Who knows?
No, we need that. We light backhands and embarrassment for people who can't see knots in ropes without throwing a fit. We need to get tougher in both of those aspects of life.
I find these stories to be the most bewildering, the ones about nooses. Like, it always seems to be like that. It's like, it's a rope with a knot, like a random knot. And it's like, obviously, this is racism. We need to go after people.
Yeah.
It makes you self-conscious. It's like, if you have a rope at home, you have to store it in your safe like it's a gun.
Yeah. I guess. If I want to, if you've got a big tree in your backyard, you want to have a rope swing for your kids, you got to be very careful. You might end up taken by the FBI. And I don't think the lady at Home Depot is going to defend you from that arrest. She's going to cheer when the feds scoop you up in that situation. But there's a new art form developing too. Now, while you were gone, I made a video about a case that, as far as I can tell, was the first in this particular developing area of the art of hoaxery, and that being a hoax deportation. There was a woman in LA, and she's kind of an immigration activist. She actually is an illegal immigrant. She's from Mexico, and she's been here for 20 years. And her family claimed that bounty hunters working on behalf of ICE, which isn't a thing, but that's what they said. Bounty hunters working on behalf of ICE scooped her up from Jack in the Box and brought her to a warehouse somewhere on the border, and then inexplicably allowed her to call her family twice to tell them this for some reason, rather than just dumping her across the border, which is where they wanted to get her. Anyway, they raised money on this. They had press conferences. They talked to the news. And then the police just found her walking around at a shopping center in Bakersfield a few days later with photos that she had made of herself supposedly abused in ICE custody that she was going to release as part of what was expected to be some press conference detailing her harrowing escape from ICE custody. Something like that is what this lady faked. Okay, that was just one case, and it was as far as I'm aware, the first I've heard of such a thing. I've never heard of these hoax deportations. There's now another one, though. And this one is from Allentown, Pennsylvania. It developed this week. The local paper, The Morning Call, reported that an 82-year-old Chilean immigrant. Now, Chile is your home country, is it not?
Yes.
Okay. You can tell me if there's any, I don't know, Chilean factors that I'm missing and how this played out. Okay. 82-year-old Chilean immigrant. And he's a grandfather. He's Pennsylvania grandfather. We have Maryland father. This is Pennsylvania grandfather. Poor health. His name is Luis Leon. And he was arrested, they say, by ICE. His family said this. He was arrested by ICE trying to replace his green card. Supposedly, he had gained asylum in this country in 1987. They said he fled Pinochet or something.
Yeah, I'll fill in some details. Essentially, this is what you need to know. This guy's a filthy commie.
Oh.
So in the 80s, yes.
He was going to get the helicopter ride.
For sure.
But even that's fake. He claimed that he was going to, but that sounds like it was fake too.
So no. This dude was a filthy commie. Like, if he escaped Chile in the 80s, that's what he is. But go on.
He says that, and his family says that's what happened, but there's no record of it. So who knows how truthful it is. He might be a commie who escaped the helicopter ride. I don't know. Did we actually offer asylum to commies?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because Pinochet was viewed in the outside world, not in Chile. This is kind of a longer conversation, but the outside world viewed Pinochet as a sort of Hitler. And that's not... Now, I'm not saying that Pinochet did nothing wrong. He went overboard on many things, so whatever. But he was
Hitler,
not...
baby. Go on. Heil Pinochet, baby.
But he did. So, well, at any rate, communist from Chile escaped to the U.S. and Europe at the time, and other countries too, other places.
Okay, so maybe 82-year-old Luis Leon escaped Chile for being a commie. We don't really know, but he said that he's been in the country since the 80s. He goes down, they say, to the immigration office in Philadelphia, supposedly on June 20th, to replace his green card that he had lost or misplaced. His family had said he had legal presence in this country through an asylum claim in the 80s. Okay, then they said, oh no, our grandfather in poor health has been disappeared to Guatemala, and he's at some hospital in Guatemala dying. He might even be dead. We don't know what happened to him. And the local paper, The Morning Call, ran with this. This is another Maryland father story. How could Pennsylvania grandfather get wrongly deported to Guatemala when he's dying? How evil this is. Okay, well, ICE looked into it, and there's actually no record of this guy appearing for a green card appointment in Philadelphia on June 20th as claimed. In fact, there was no appointment scheduled for him at all. The only record of his entry into this country is from 2015. He came here from Chile under a visa waiver program. So that's why I say it appears that the claim about asylum in 1987 was also false insofar as there's no record of that. And ICE is saying if he was granted asylum, we would know, and he was not. He came here in 2015 under some visa waiver. The biggest twist in the story happened later, though. A Chilean journalist published a death certificate showing that someone with the same name, birth date, and unique Chilean national ID number, so I guess social security number down there, that guy died in Chile in 2019. So it appears that the family just made up this story about their dead grandpa from 6 years ago to try to get Trump, to try to sabotage Trump. And not only that, but the local paper, they've since changed their headlines. Oh, it was all a hoax. We're updating the story. The original stories just ran with the family's story as presented and actually used photos that the family had supplied of this guy. The problem is the photos were of a different guy who died in 2021. It wasn't even the same guy. So they just took the story from the family and republished it without verification, and it's all total crap. In the case of the woman in LA, she was trying to raise money, even though they didn't raise very much money. I don't understand what this family was trying to do. Why your grandpa's dead? It's been many years now. Why are you actually using your grandpa's grave just to get Trump for like a blip in the news cycle? That's it? Are you that deranged against him that you would disrespect your grandpa in this way? Why?
Man, I would not be surprised. This is the most Chilean story ever.
They have a vibrant commie scam industry down there, or what?
Yeah, I mean, so in Chile, there's about like somewhere between 20 to 30% of the population is very far left. Now, I'm not going to say outright communist. The Communist Party is smaller than that. I can't remember exact percentages. But yeah, 20 to 30% of the population is like extreme left. They despise the United States. This is like it's kind of a thing. Like the U.S. is viewed as kind of this capitalist villain or whatever. Now, Chile has a visa waiver program with the U.S. There are relatively few countries that have that, particularly in South America. So people from Chile can come here without getting a visa, which can be quite hard. Well, there are a lot of Chileans that are very dishonest, and they will come to the U.S. just to steal, and they will post it on social media. They will literally post on social media how Americans are a bunch of dummies, and they'll go to some city and steal a bunch of stuff and then go back to Chile. The problem has become so bad that the U.S. is considering removing the visa. Actually, maybe somebody needs to fact check me on this. Maybe the U.S. just approved the removal of the visa waiver program. But again, fact check me on that. I know that it's been in discussions. And now the U.S. is beginning to deny entry to a bunch of Chileans into the U.S. for good reason. Like, they were absolutely abusing the system. And so this, I mean, I am ashamed to say, like, it's not like I'm on here wanting to just like dog on Chileans, but this is a legitimate problem.
I had no idea the Chilean scam industry was such a thing, but it seems like all the countries are in on it. The United States has a joke of an immigration system. Let's take advantage.
It's horrific. I mean, they post it on social media. They brag about how they come to the U.S. to steal. They even teach other people how to do it. It is horrific.
I wish I was surprised to learn that, but it does seem on brand. So, all right. Well, thanks for the insight. And I'm glad this particular Chilean scam has been exposed. Now, this is not hoax hate related. I was just scanning the news. I was scanning the news for stuff to talk about on the stream. I found a very bizarre headline that doesn't really fit anywhere else in the show. So I just wanted to discuss it briefly before we get to your motorcycle ride. But headline Breitbart yesterday: serial butt sniffer arrested again in California.
Look at that big ass. Look at that big juicy booty.
Or that big smelly booty. He likes to sniff butts, and he cannot lie, this man. Khalees Karen Crowder was arrested in Burbank after police received a report of a suspicious individual loitering in a department store. He was observed crouching behind a woman and sniffing her buttocks, a lewd act Crowder is suspected of committing in the past. According to the police press release, after a call about his behavior at a Nordstrom Rack store, police tracked Crowder to the nearby Walmart. On surveillance video, Crowder was observed walking through the women's department, following a female customer. He crouched behind her and inappropriately sniffed her buttocks.
Oh my God, bro!
He is a registered sex offender, currently on parole, long history of peeping, prowling, and burglary. But yes, he has sniffed before. He was the subject of a viral TikTok video in 2023. Now, I thought maybe speaking of, posting on social media your criminal activities, I thought he was doing like butt sniff selfie videos. The subject of a viral video, it's not linked here, so I haven't seen it. I assume that means someone caught him in the act of the butt sniffing, posted it on TikTok, and it went viral. This is another case. Maybe the T app would be useful. You don't want butt sniffer. You don't want your daughter dating a butt sniffer. So if you can out the butt sniffers on T, maybe that would be a useful application. Now, of course, to be technical, Robert, I know you are a man of technicalities with the law and accounting and all your various disciplines. The crime is not actually sniffing the butt. It is lewd behavior. Sniffing a butt is not necessarily a crime. If there's consent to sniff the butt, or if the butt is so smelly that you just smell it incidentally because of your generally close proximity. I was just wondering, like, if I go into Walmart and it smells like a butt in the bathroom, have I committed a crime? No. You have to do the stalking, the crouching. You really got to get your nose in there for the butt sniffing to become a crime. Most implicated, not me or you necessarily, smelling the smells in the Walmart bathroom, Joe Biden. Sniffing may come under criminal scrutiny for Joe Biden. He may now get in trouble with the law.
Come on, man. That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
To be fair to Joe, though, only sniffs kids, not butts. And I think he sticks to the tops of their heads. I've never seen him sniff a butt in that way.
It might not count as lewd, in which case he might just like get off free, you know?
I just can't believe it. Serial butt sniffer. One of the comments on this article, I am a 70-year-old man and an avid newsreader, and I have never in all my days heard the phrase serial butt sniffer. But there he is. Check out those ears, man. Yes. I
was going to say.
I think they wilted from all the smelly butts that they've been exposed to. That's what happened to his ears.
Like, I almost want to allow this. It's like, you know, as long as he's not touching, right? Like, don't. But like, if you just want to catch like a good whiff, like, okay, it's fine.
That whiff was brought out into the public. All right. Oh my God. You know? Now I know that this is dangerous territory to discuss. I'm trying to do this as delicately as possible, but sniffing a butt is very animalistic behavior. Like. That's how dogs greet each other. Like, what is this? Is this a sexual fetish? That's what I would assume. It's like he's into that. But how does one? I just don't even understand how you realize that you just love sniffing a butt in that way.
Maybe you just haven't tried it.
I've definitely smelled my fair share of butts, especially in recent years of diaper changing. So I don't know. It's not an enjoyable activity, but. I don't know. I guess I've been smelling the wrong butts this whole time. What can I say?
You know, maybe that's how he is looking for like the perfect girlfriend. He's like, when I smell her, I will know. Like, I'll know she's the one.
But I have to smell her butt.
Yes,
it's not her. Like, it's not her perfume or her shampoo.
Oh yeah, no, none of that nonsense. Like He's like, I will know the right butt when I smell it.
Again. That is behavior I often observe in the animal kingdom. So I'm just wondering what the hell's going on here. All right. I don't know how we transition from serial butt sniffer to your journey to the Arctic Ocean, but you're back. I read on your Substack, and maybe some in the audience have, there were a series of complications in this motorcycle trip you took trying to reach the Arctic Ocean. So what happened? Let's go start to finish, because I know there's a lot to talk about.
Okay. And of course, I'll keep it brief. Now, one short correction. I Googled it real quick. The visa waiver program with Chile is still active. I want to correct myself there. Okay.
Thank you for your commitment to the facts.
But I live in Northwest Arkansas, and my goal was to make it all the way up to the Arctic Ocean on the Canadian side, because you can cross over to the Alaska side and try to do it there. Round trip, it was going to be about 9,000 miles. Yeah, if you scroll down there on the plan, that kind of gives you a sense of what I was trying to do. And I got time off work and all that. I have a Scrambler 1200 XC. It is a Triumph, in case you know about motorcycles. And essentially up until like northern British Columbia, it's just a regular ride, no big deal. But once you go past like Banff, the national park, you lose phone signal. Gas stations are few and far between. It gets significantly more sketchy, and you're more isolated. I would say that the first real adventure that I had, I was on one of those lonely roads in British Columbia. And like I said in the blog, I nearly met my demise. I had a very close call. I was on just a two-way road. I came around a blind corner, and now I was on my lane. I was just doing my thing. And as soon as I come out of this corner, there is a box truck on its lane, like, coming at me. No big deal. But right next to this box truck, there is another vehicle that is trying to pass it. And I'm going about 50 miles an hour. They're going about 50 miles an hour coming my way. And I immediately know we're maybe like 100 yards apart or whatever. And I know there is no time for anything. That car, even if it were to slam on its brakes, it would not be able to get back in its lane. Certainly, it cannot accelerate and pass the truck in the fraction of a second that we have. And to my right, as I'm driving, there's just like essentially a rock wall. And to the left, there's a drop off. And so there is just nowhere to go as I have these two cars coming at me. And, by the grace of God, I made the kind of the right call. And I go between the two vehicles. So
two oncoming cars.
Two oncoming cars. There's two oncoming cars coming at me, again, 40, 50 miles an hour. I am going 40 to 50 miles an hour the opposite direction, and I go in between them. And it was such a close call that it ruined my ride for like the next 2 hours. I just could not stop thinking that if anything had been slightly different, like if I had missed my little window by 2 feet, I would have been dead.
Even if you had clipped the rear view mirror on that car and it bounced you into the, under the wheels and tires of the truck or something.
Yeah. And I was already almost to the Yukon. And so I was 200 or 300 miles from the nearest hospital. And so even if I survived, which a head-on collision like that, I would have insta-died. But in the weird scenario that I survived, it would have been a horrific time trying to make it anywhere. So that was a very close call.
And you didn't get these cars just kept going. They didn't stop. You don't know who they were. There was no conversation.
The guy in the car who was in the wrong, the guy trying to pass, did wave at me. So like as I lane split, then I look in my mirror and the guy in the car actually waved.
What's up, bro? Yeah. Nice bike.
My only hope is that his wife was in the car and she was just screaming at him like, you always do this. I told you to be safe. Why didn't you wave?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Man, I didn't have over the 4th, we had some family visiting. Very similar experience where it wasn't for my car, but I was trailing and someone was trying to, mountain roads around here, people get impatient. Someone was trying to pass around a truck and some of my family was in the car right behind him. And this guy pulls into the oncoming lane and there's oncoming traffic and he's at that moment of decision making and he starts hitting the gas when it's clearly the wrong decision and he had to bail out and get back behind the truck. I thought I was going to witness a head on and thankfully I didn't. And I've never had to be like the first person to arrive on scene at a horrific car accident. As I saw, I'm like, this guy's going to hit the gas. He's going to do it. It was like in my head, I'm about to watch that. Now, I saw it from the comforts of a car 100 yards back, 50 yards back. And it was just the prospect was terrifying when I was not actually physically in danger myself. So if you're on the bike and you actually you have both of these cars like inches to feet on either side of you, it must have just been such an incredible adrenaline rush. As I said to you when I texted you after reading this, normally I curse every biker who lane splits, even though it's partially legal here in Montana. I will allow the lane splitting in this case.
I'm telling you, I thought about it after the fact. I literally thought to myself, would Matt approve of this? But yeah, it was wild. And if anybody's thinking, how unsafe motorcycles are, which, by the way, I do not disagree. Motorcycles are not safe. But if I had been in a car, we would have had a head-on collision. Like the only reason we didn't have an accident is because on a motorcycle, I was able to pick like the only available space, to go through.
It's so incredible that you could tell me how much conscious thought you had about this or not. But what's so dangerous about that situation, especially in a mountain context, is your reflexes may take you to a worse decision. Like maybe you decide to go off the mountainside. Maybe you decide to go into the rock wall. And it's so fast that you're not even thinking about which one is actually wiser. But for you, was it conscious decision making that brought you between the cars, or was it pure reflex, or something in between?
It was something in between. When I saw the cars, I consciously, immediately realized these two cars can do nothing. And so, I immediately realized whatever happens in this situation is up to me. Because, and by that I mean the guy, the car that was passing did not have time to either accelerate, to slow down. He was in my lane, whether I liked it or not. And I think that immediate realization kind of saved my life because I, if you will, I took responsibility for what was about to happen.
It was a no choice. Yeah. It's either this or nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
wow.
if I had waited for the car to get out of the lane, which again was impossible, I would have had a head-on collision. And so, yeah. But at the same time, I do want to say this. If I was in that situation another 99 times, I'm confident I would make the wrong call the other 99 times.
A true miracle.
That I'm some great rider or something.
Yeah.
Well,
that wasn't even that was just one day on the ride. So what happened with the rest? I guess I've buried the lead. Did you in fact make it to the Arctic Ocean?
I did not get to see the ice wall. I'm very sorry to report. I didn't make it to the Arctic Ocean. I did make it into the Arctic Circle and into the territories. I was about 200 miles from the Arctic Ocean, something like that. Up there, you're on a dirt road. So after Dawson City, you get on the Dempster Highway. It is a dirt road, and I had traveled about 10 hours on this dirt road, and the weather turned. There was a heavy mist that came in. The temperature dropped somewhere in the 30s. Things were wet. This mist was so thick, it was actually getting my stuff wet, my shoes, whatever. And I was very tired. I had been riding for a lot of days, and I was riding 10 to 14 hours a day. So all I did was ride. I would get up, start riding, and just stop riding right before bed and do it again the next day and the next day and the next day. So I was very tired, very isolated. And when the temperature dropped and it was wet, and the visibility also disappeared, cars, because people are doing this, they're either on motorcycles or on just the full kind of off-road rigs, picture the Jeeps or fully decked out or whatever. Well, the Jeeps and stuff on the road, when the bad weather came in, they were going 20 miles an hour on the road with their hazards on. Even they could see nothing. And that's when I just did not want to keep going. I could have turned back, waited for the weather to turn nicer, and then tried again. I certainly could have done that. But I just realized I've been riding for 7 days nonstop. I'm wet. I'm cold. I've been staying at crappy motels. I'm done. And I turned back. I would say I'm ashamed to say I turned back, but I don't know that I'm ashamed. It got to the point where I thought, I've done what I came here to do.
It's about the journey, Robert, not the destination.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, I will say anybody who makes it the whole way, I mean, hats off to you. It is a hard ride. Most people do it in groups. I came across a lot of other riders. I only came across one other solo rider. Other people, they were in pairs or bigger groups. Several of the groups actually had support vehicles with them. And so I turned back. Life was good. I mean, I still had a very long ride to go back home. Oh, the other big issue. And here, like I was telling you, your audience will make fun of me and I deserve it. But when I started riding back from Dawson City, my bike was being weird. I didn't know what was happening. Whenever the RPM would get over like 4,000, which is very low in a bike, the bike would like act weird. Well, at first I thought it was bad gas because I had to get some sketchy gas along the way. Then I thought it was maybe the air filter because I had been on dirt for like 20 hours or whatever. And then I realized it was my chain. And I didn't have the tools to adjust it and all that. So I was able to buy the tools. I had never adjusted the chain myself. And yes, I deserve harsh criticism for that. But I've always done my maintenance on schedule. So I haven't had a problem with the chain because I replace it when I need to. I always keep it lubed, like whatever. Well, I was able to get the tools. I got what maybe I thought was the proper tension, but I wasn't certain because I hadn't done it before. So I tried to get some help from the bike shop the next morning. And that was a kind of a wild ride. I got there right before opening. There were two older gentlemen who were ahead of me, also there before closing. And for context, one of these guys was 78 years old. And they had ordered tires and they were supposed to be installed on Friday. Well, this was Monday. And they talked to the service guy. They go, hey, we're here to get our tires installed. We missed our appointment Friday, but here we are. The service guy looks at them and goes, you missed your appointment. We are booked solid, so I'm sorry I can't help you. So these two older gentlemen stand there speechless. And the service guy says, you know what? We have center stands out front. If you can take off your own wheels, sure, we'll mount the tire. And the older guys go, well, do you have any tools? And the service guy goes, which tools? And they're like, well, we need to take off the wheels. He goes, nope.
Is there a hardware store in town? I mean, what do you do?
Yep. Well, the service guy did not care. And so I'm next in line. And when I walk up to the guy, I go, I think you've already answered my question.
Yeah.
And he goes, why? What's your question? And I'm like, look, I had an issue with my chain and I adjusted it. I just want to know if I put the proper tension on it before I ride another 20 hours to Edmonton where I can actually get it fixed.
Yeah.
The guy he treats me like a little child. He he calls me effing stupid, like the whole deal. When is the last time you lube your chain? And I'm like, well, technically it was like 4,500 miles ago. He's like, you got to do it every 4,000 kilometers. How, you're so effing stupid and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, I know, but that was only 7 days ago. Like, let's not pretend that I've been ignoring my chain for like 2 years. Like, sure, I forgot to maintain my chain halfway on my ride here or whatever. At any rate, he does go out there and look at the chain. It was a little too loose. Continues to call me effing stupid yet again. It's fine. I have to take it. I need his help. And I adjusted a little bit more. He said it was too tight. He said it was too tight. I tried to make it to Edmonton, which was like a 20 to 23 hour ride, something like that. And when I was about 3 hours away from Edmonton, the chain just essentially gave up on me. It continued to expand, and I could tell I was not going to make it. Now, by the way, I did have to add tension to the chain a couple of times, but it continued to expand, and I became afraid that I could have an accident. If you know about motorcycles, you know this already, but if you don't, if a chain snaps on a bike, it's a very bad day because the chain can do a couple of things. It can get all like bunched up on the front sprocket, in which case your motorcycle will go from moving to not moving instantaneously.
Okay.
And that will be very bad.
Yeah.
Or the more likely outcome is it can like hit you in the leg or your back. And like it can literally cut off your leg if it hits your leg when the chain, is moving at 70 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it's no joke. So about 3 hours out from Edmonton, I had to call a tow truck. and he towed me over there to the dealership.
You made it to a Tim Hortons though, so it must have been somewhat civilized.
Yes, it was. It was like this little town out there, and the tow guy was awesome. We actually got to talk about politics and all that, like politics, religion, the whole deal. Canada, by the way, this is not part of the story, but the immigration situation in Canada is out of control. Take what's happening in the U.S. and multiply it by 10. Right now, and people should fact check me on this, but I believe nearly 25% of Canadian population is not native-born Canadians.
Yeah.
25%. Every store you go to, you will not run into a Canadian, like a true Canadian.
Even way out there?
Even way out there. Okay, Eagle Plains, like if you put Eagle Plains on the map, it's like this gas station in the middle of the Yukon, almost all the way up to the Arctic Ocean. Even there, the people running the gas station and hotel were Indian.
The takeover is complete.
It's complete.
Yeah.
It is complete. It is the wildest thing. The tow truck driver was the first Canadian I got to talk to. Like, it was so nice. It was refreshing. Well, he dropped me off right by the dealership. I stayed in that crappy hotel right by the dealership. I tell the story on the blog that as I was walking into this crappy hotel, this woman approaches me and tells me how handsome I am. She was obviously a hooker, but I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed
Congratulations, butthead.
Propositioned, wow.
Yes, but I am so stupid, I did not realize it immediately. Like,
wow, what a lovely young lady.
Yes, for a second I was like, wow, that's so nice. Like, I must be looking good.
All right, so you eventually you make it back to the I guess I'm skipping too far ahead. Your bike isn't even fixed yet. You get the bike fixed after it's towed, I assume?
Yep. So I get a new chain. They didn't have the sprockets. Normally you do both at the same time, but whatever. My bike is fixed. I ride down to Great Falls in Montana. Then the next day I ride to Salt Lake City. I had this whole plan to go to Arches and blah, blah, blah. When I'm checking into the hotel in Salt Lake City, somebody hit my bike. The car that was parked in front of me, he saw my bike and everything, and it was like a one-way check-in area, if you will. And that car was only supposed to go forward. He goes back, and he hit my bike. And I mean, I had been on my bike for 2 weeks, riding, again, 10 to 14 hours a day. It was like my companion. It crushed me. It just crushed me emotionally when it happened. I could not believe it.
It sounds like you crushed the bike too. It was unrideable. You had to fly home.
Yes, I took it to the dealership the next day. I rented a car. I had to buy the biggest duffel bags I could find, packed all my stuff, and I flew home. The guy was uninsured. At first, I thought he was insured, but he gave me his mother's insurance that explicitly excluded him. So, and so yeah, he was uninsured. It sucked. I flew back home, and then just this Friday, I mean, a couple of days ago, I flew back to Salt Lake City. The bike was repaired, and I rode it back yesterday and today.
Which I didn't even know, because when I found out Robert was back early, I said, hey, it's going to be the last Sunday stream for a while. You want to come on and tell me the story of your trip to the Arctic Ocean? He said, yeah, sure. I did not know that Robert was biking over the weekend to get back for the stream today. So it was really dedicated for him to come here and tell us this story. We appreciate it.
Great story. Compelling and rich.
I was so stressed today. I started riding at 6 a.m, and because I was like, essentially in Denver this morning, and to where I'm at, it is a long ride. I mean, I rode 700 miles today.
Wow. How, I mean, so yeah, you're cruising down the interstate at what, 70, 80? What are you doing?
Yeah,
faster?
I was like 80 plus.
Okay, so you're really hurrying. Okay. Well, that means the bike's in good shape if it can handle high speeds like that.
Yeah, it's great. Chain is good, all is well. And it was a great trip. I even the difficulties, except for the bike being hit, I feel like that was not supposed to be part of the adventure. But everything else, I have no complaints. People in Canada were lovely. Canada is beautiful. It was just incredible. And I will say, I feel like I kind of leveled up both on my ability to ride on dirt. It got significantly better. And also before, like riding, say 8 hours in a day was daunting for me. Now, I mean, I'm riding, like I said, 10, 12, 14 hours in a day and just having a great time.
Really quick, in all the ground that you covered, what was the coolest spot? What was the most beautiful place that you saw?
I would say is that Jasper National Park area. So when, in Canada, everyone talks about Banff, the famous national park. And don't get me wrong, Banff is beautiful. But once you keep going into Jasper, it just gets even better. Really beautiful, lots of wildlife. I probably saw a dozen bears.
We talking grizzlies, black bears? What'd you see?
Definitely more black bears. I think some of the ones I saw were grizzlies. I have a hard time telling them apart, especially this time of year. It was a lot of mama bears with their cubs.
Yeah.
I saw that several times. I saw moose, the whole deal.
Well, thank you for telling us the story. I'm glad it was satisfactory in its own ways, even if they were not the ways that you maybe intended. And definitely glad that you survived that particular episode. So, man, I hope you got all the adventure you were looking for out of it. It sounds like it's certainly a story you will carry with you for a long time.
Yeah,
but,
it did scratch the itch. I don't feel a need to go to the Arctic Ocean again.
All right, fair enough. Then it did what it was supposed to do. All right, we got to catch up with Super Chat, and then we'll call it a night. So let me hop over to YouTube first, since I got to them last time. Let's see. Purpose of the Ages. Conservative celibacy wins again. Let the simps drown in leaked DMs and TikTok tears. Build your family, love Christ, and let the hypersexual culture collapse under its own thirst traps. Embrace the burning of your reputation. Good women are not worth the tea. Well, first of all, thank you for your support for the show.
I am not going to be niggardly.
But also thank you for your wisdom. Now, that's exactly the sort of stuff I intend to teach my sons in the future. The problem is, gotta find a woman who agrees with those premises, or one who is leadable to support those premises. Easier said than done. I don't. Hopefully, times change by the time that my sons are dating, because I don't know. I guess it's gonna have to be arranged marriage. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go that route to protect them from this bullshit.
Start talking to the Mennonite community. Like,
yes. I'm gonna have to, yeah. But yeah, it's not. I don't know. I mean, God, man, I really feel for guys who are trying to find something salvageable out of this current dating market, because I'm, the better part of 10 years removed from it now, and I remember how awful it was back then. It seems like things are only getting worse. So, if anybody's in that and they're feeling really discouraged by the state of things, I mean, I would tell you the same thing I told myself when I was going through it. All it takes is one. All it takes is one. You're gonna find her. You just have to remember that it's a one-time thing that you have to accomplish, and you gain the benefit of that for the rest of your life. So it works out eventually. But holy crap, is there a lot of danger, treachery, trash to sift through? And Godspeed if you're doing that right now. Stooge McDuck. Those T women engaged in perceived private doxing, in a perceived private doxing app, they deserve everything they get. Doxers are equivalent to communists. Yeah, I mean, if they weren't doxing, they were really towing that line. I mean, technically the information, the photos that they were taking, I think were off of publicly available social media profiles. But man, I don't think they were posting like addresses and phone numbers and all that. But when you're talking about a person's full name for the purpose of just shit talking about pieces of their private life, if that's not doxing, it's about as tight on that line as you could possibly be. So the fact that they got kind of doxed themselves, it wasn't a full dox, it's just photos of them. Now, absent the context here, they're entitled to the privacy of those photographs, certainly, and you could argue they're entitled in this case too. But when the photos are harvested from a place that is devoted to the outing of other people in their own private lives, it's hard to have sympathy. So, yeah. Purpose of the Ages also says, thank you for helping change or maintain masculine culture. Well, I'll take that compliment. I don't. Some might disagree. Long ago, my wife and I were unhappy dinks. That's double income, no kids, right? Now we are expecting our third child, thank God. Well, congratulations, and thank God for strong men voicing principles and values. Enjoy the time off. It's well-deserved. Well,
We love you. You're very special.
it's very kind of you. Thank you for your support for the show. All the best with your third as well. And, yeah, I mean, God, I really appreciate those compliments. I don't consider myself like a leader of men in that way. I feel very fortunate to have what I have. But there's a lot of stuff for whatever wisdom I may have, you know, it's stuff that I feel like I've picked up through experience over the last 10 years. I really wish I could tell my younger self a lot of those things. Would have made life easier in a lot of ways. And I certainly have a lot of conversations I want to have with my sons that will help them navigate this stuff, hopefully a little more easily in the future. But I you know, beyond politics, beyond day-to-day news, like having your philosophy as a man sorted out is a very big compliment. And I'm not claiming that I do. I hope I'm closer to the truth on those matters than maybe I have been in the past. But it's a big compliment, and I really appreciate it. All the best to you and your family. Purpose of the Ages, and congrats as well. Esoterica Unbound. I wonder if the T app was a setup. It was created by a gay dude. I didn't read that he was gay, but I do know there was a guy behind it. Created by a gay dude who stored all this info in a public database. It's like throwing a grenade into what passes for heteronormativity in the 21st century. I did know it was by a guy because the joke that a lot of people were making was like, looks like you should have hired a man to do your digital security. But I guess they did have a man. The guy he had some tech experience in something previously. I don't know what his background was, but it was not in fact a full women in tech project. I say it past tense like it's going away. It's not. The company's not, as far as I'm aware, it's not. They're just carrying on. Like, sorry, your photos got leaked, but we got shit to talk, so we're moving on.
I just hope somebody starts suing those women for defamation. You know,
you ever taken a defamation suit in? I know you don't do criminal law. Do you do other forms of litigation?
Yeah, I mean, that would be civil law, defamation. And I've not, well, I've been involved in one case that was one of the claims. That was actually one of the counterclaims against my client. You know, they're difficult suits to bring. But I just hope there's some attorney out there that is like, you know what? I'm just going to make my money off of tea. I'm just going to bring defamation lawsuits forever. And go on.
Hey, yeah. I mean, if you're a young lawyer looking for a new opportunity, maybe that's a good one. It seems to me there's got to be privacy implications for what's going on here. I mean, you're not just anonymously telling stories about people in general. You're picking out specific guys by their actual names.
Yeah, absolutely. Defamation.
And I guarantee some of those stories on there are legitimately defamatory. They're false. They're done in a public setting with the intent of harming a person financially or harming them in their dating prospects or other ways. And for someone who's just a private person, like these guys presumably are, it's not actually that hard to win a defamation suit. You need to show that you were fast and loose with the truth in a way that damaged them. And I think these guys probably have viable cases in that way.
Yeah.
Just my guess. Injured Guardian, maybe just tasteful smacking. No, taseful. Hey, a taser deployed there, I would also think would be appropriate to deal with that Home Depot situation.
Yeah.
Injured Guardian's got us. I can't believe I didn't think of this. Who else stuck with the lie the whole time? OJ. Of course. OJ's the real king. How did I forget? Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, maybe he's like Jussie's like following in those great footsteps, you know.
Those bloody footsteps at what's his face's or no, that was OJ's house, right? He had the drippy blood on his Bronco and wasn't there a footprint or something. But he had that weird guy staying in his bungalow out back.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep.
I can't remember all the details.
So Jussie stands on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah. Thank you, Injured Guardian. Now I'm embarrassed that I didn't think of OJ. I should have been better on the spot than that. They're now making us prefer an HOA. God helps. Dude, I'm signing up. Yeah, I'm going to become HOA president if I see a whiff of this crap. I'm taking over. Thankfully, I've never seen a fence like that in my neighborhood, but if I see anything like it. You know, it's like, I don't like the levers of power. I'd prefer that a lot of levers didn't exist. But to the extent the levers of power do exist, someone's got to wield them. And sometimes wielding, it's like having the butt in the seat and just saying no. Maybe the lever's over there, but you're the guy just holding it down. Hey, no one's flipping this lever. Sorry. It's, you know, it's an unfortunate reality of being an adult, I've realized. Like, in a lot of ways, even if all you want to do is just be a guy who takes care of your family and minds his own business, there are forces in the world that will not allow you to do that. So you have to enter public life, even if it's on the smallest scale of being an HOA president or board member, because the people who will not simply leave you alone. If it's not you, those people will have the levers of power, and you can't live that way.
And those are the kind of people, by the way, who become the president of the HOA.
Yeah, the people who have the time and are nosy enough to do it.
Yep, they love it.
Yeah, a little bit of power. The sort of woman who yells at ICE agents at Home Depot. She's the one who would do it.
Yep.
VV, I think this is who he's talking about. She looks exactly like a person who would piss me off. Oh, no, this is the fence lady. He might like the Lululemon lady. I don't know. Seeing rainbow flags and hate has no home signs played a huge role in where we purchased our home. Okay, so he has a personal account of that. Lol Rob Art Simpson with the spray paint. I'm not sure about the nickname. The nickname escapes me. It's over my head. But yeah, that's interesting that you actually have a personal story where that sort of thing maybe discouraged you from buying a house. I don't know. Like I said, when my wife and I were in the furniture market a couple of years ago, you know, like you were describing, where a business tells you up front whether they want your business or not. There's a cool, I'm not going to name them because I don't want to get them in trouble, but there's a furniture shop in town that looked like the sort of handmade furniture that is to our taste, and we were excited to go into their showroom and see what it's all about. We go there. This is 2020, of course. Black Lives Matter fist, like front and center. Nope. Guess not. Turning the car around. Furniture seems cool, but if you're telling me I have to like kneel for George and do the, I'm out. I'm out.
Yep.
I don't require that you agree with my politics to hire you to build furniture for me, but it appears that you require me to agree with your politics as a precondition for any furniture discussions. So on that basis, see ya. That's it.
100%. One of the reasons, this was not the only reason, but one of the reasons I moved from the other home I was in here in Northwest Arkansas was because of the neighbors. And now I value that a great deal. Like, if I would think about that before buying another home. We
didn't put a lot of thought into like neighbor scouting before we moved. This is the first time I've moved as a family like that. And thankfully we have won the neighbor lottery as far as I'm concerned. Everybody's really great. But if we were to move again, I like, what do you do to scout the neighbors? Are you just looking for signs, or do you actually like try to get, we need the T app. I need to go and Yelp neighbor reviews and see what it's all about.
I look for a neighborhood that is like 80% nice, but 20% trashy. Like, I want a neighborhood where somebody has their F-350 parked in the yard, and I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
Like, those people are not going to give me trouble over anything.
Yeah, you don't want a full-on junkyard, but just enough not perfectly manicured that you know you can get away with a little bit. Okay.
Yes.
I see what you're saying. I was thinking more just the politics rather than like the mess. I was just thinking like...
No, but that tells me the politics as well. Like, the guy with the F-350 in the yard, like, that dude does not have rainbows.
Esoterica Unbound. I'm pansexual, which means I'll do any act with anyone or anything, but most of the rest of creation finds the idea of doing me nauseating. Yeah. I will I will do literally anything, but nobody will do me. That is I'm pansexual.
And it's like, and I decided this at 30.
Yeah.
Give me a break. No.
Joshy boy. Remember that the gays wanted to be treated like everyone else. Remember how that became homophobic. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yeah, well, the original deal was just leave us alone, and then leave us alone became I paint my fence in a rainbow monstrosity and expect you not just to be fine with that, but to, I guess, give it some applause on your drive by every day. Yeah, it's We just want to be left alone to mind our own business was the greatest lie outside of Obama's, like, you like your insurance, you can keep your insurance, in the stack of left-wing lies over the course of the last, 10, 20 years. There are many more than just that, but those are the two that came to mind for some reason. There are probably better examples, but they're lost with OJ in the back of my mind somewhere right now. VV, I lost all my nooses in a fishing accident. Yeah, when the ATF or the FBI comes to raid you for nooses in your garage, that's what you'll have to say. VV, as a conservative, it's really weird to hear Crowder in the context of serial ass sniffing. Now, yeah, I'm not accusing Steven. I don't think he's of any relation to the serial butt sniffer, this Crowder guy. The ears are not similar at all. I don't think Steven has any part of this. So, Khalees Karen, maybe, I don't know, distant relative, someone connect the dots.
Can you imagine being the victim? Like, let's say you're one of these ladies and you go home to your husband and you're like, you'll never believe what happened to me. Some dude smelled my butt. And the dude would be like, but like, he like touched you? No. Like, he just got his nose next to my butt and inhaled.
And how do you realize that it's happening if there's no touch and he's like crouched behind you? I have a lot of questions about how this works. I just picture him like a Smeagol or something, crouched in the, a lot of stores have circular clothing displays, like a rack of shirts might be on a circular rack. And when I was a little kid, if my mom was shopping at Target or something, you'd go hide like in the rack of clothing. I picture him in there waiting for a woman to be shopping for like a blouse or a dress or something. And he makes his butt sniffing move at that point, but he'd be front facing. Like, you can't sniff the butt I don't know. Like, I need to see the viral TikTok video that is out there. I guess I need to see it because I need to see how he does this physically. And I want it narrated. Speaking of this being animalistic behavior, I want it narrated like it's Animal Planet and they're talking about a mountain lion stalking its prey. I want it in that style when I see how this is presented.
I love it.
Injured Guardian, why does YouTube say this live chat is 350 XP? Are they awarding XP for participating in the live chat now? Is this Call of Duty? What are they doing? I don't know. It's news to me. I couldn't answer it for you. But if you discover what live chat XP is, let me know. Joshy Boy says to you, Robert, I forgive you for not making it all the way. I do not forgive you for buying a Switch 2. You have failed him in that regard. He hates Nintendo, I guess.
The Switch 2 is controversial because Nintendo has very sketchy policies now. Essentially, you no longer own anything with Nintendo. If you modify your Switch in ways that they don't like, they will just brick it. If
it always has to be connected to the internet or what?
No, but when it does become connected to the internet, if Nintendo detects you've like, you've done like jailbreaking or whatever the proper term would be, they can and will brick it. Like, they've already done it to customers. Their games also they have similar like terms of service that are really draconian, and so some customers are choosing not to buy the Switch 2 because of that. But to be honest, I don't intend to do any of that. I'm like just the filthiest casual that ever was. Like, I want to play like Mario Kart when I'm on the plane.
I've had a little bit of time for Xbox recently, and I'll probably take a little bit more time while I'm on break. So I downloaded the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 remake. Like, I was playing it a little bit last night. I'm like, how big of a sucker am I? Like, I've paid for the Xbox Game Pass so that I can play a game that I played 20 years ago plus, and it's the same freaking game. Like, am I retarded? What am I doing? And I still enjoyed it. I was like, I am such a... there seems like so much wrong with the video game industry, but here I am participating in what's wrong. Ooh, a remade game from 20 years ago that I have nostalgia for? I can't wait. And I'm going to go complete that stupid nonsense I'm going to get every deck unlocked. I'm going to get every stat point. I'm going to get every skater's video. Why? Why? If I think these things are stupid, why do I participate in them? It's I don't have a good answer. Mm-hmm. Ramsey C over on Rumble. Several pedo rings busted. 300 pedos arrested, almost 2,000 kids free. Maybe Trump is using the list and they have to keep it quiet. Your viewers may be greasy leftist fags. They didn't like it. Oh, I don't know. What didn't they like? I don't know. I mean, I'd like to believe that there's something that we're not seeing here, and that there's a plan worth trusting, and this is all pursuant. This isn't letting pedos off the hook. This is getting the pedos, actually. I'll believe it when I see it. I haven't necessarily seen it. Now, I'll take your word for it that there are people being busted. Do we know that's a product of anything connected to Jeffrey Epstein? As far as I'm aware, I haven't seen the dots connected. But hey, I hope they are. I hope there is something good coming out of this. Because it appears to be very, not only embarrassing, but just a drastic betrayal of justice.
You know, I do not believe that these arrests are connected to the Epstein list, but I still want to grant your viewer's point there that the Trump administration is busting a lot of pedos. A lot of them. And it seems like they're not even that hard to catch, which makes you think that the Democrats, like, they tend to just not want to catch the pedos.
There was a great show about it on MSNBC. We just need to bring back the show. Some of the best TV ever made, To Catch a Predator. I know there are variants of that have been recreated since, but anyway. Dangerous Spaces, friendly producer. When I reached out to Tiffany Gomez at the time, I got a response from Representative's company called the Branding Los Angeles. They did indeed ask, can we have the questions ahead of time? Yeah, so Tim was trying to get the woman herself for us. While checking the Branding Los Angeles website, I just discovered something that raises a whole bunch of new questions. Tiffany Gomez was flying American Airlines, who the company also represents. Okay, I didn't know that. So maybe the whole thing was a weird PR setup. Ramsey C. Only queers and gun haters don't like this stream. My monthly payment isn't enough to thank you for what you do. Well, thank you for supporting the show. I really appreciate it. And don't ever apologize or say that your support is insufficient, because it's not. It's a huge help in keeping the operation running. And I really appreciate it, Ramsey. JP Timbers, Kissy Face. Well, Kissy Face, right back to you.
We love you. You're very special.
Dangerous Spaces. Regarding the fence lady, I linked a GoFundMe in the Discord. She has also started a 501c3. Okay, so this is a business operation. In February, she claimed 2 teens they caught vandalizing were paid $20 to do it. Also found the slur. Well, what is the slur? I should check the Discord. What did you... Oh, here, he did find it. Let me... well done, Tim. Let me pull this up. I didn't see this. So this is the latest round of it too. It's dated July 22nd. It is fuck the fags is what it says. But where's the drawing? I was promised a drawing. That's what they said on the news. Anyway, well, thank you. I had not seen that, so that's one more piece of the story. Thanks for digging that up, Tim. And also says he found 3 GoFundMe pages from Brittany Fuller, this woman with the fence. One is linked from a TikTok showing the Pride fence, but the link is for Save Our Pride Home fundraiser, which barely mentions the fence. Yeah, there's a lot of angles to this, I would assume. Anyway,
Like I said,
over on Rumble. Oh no, I thought someone was going to ask about this, because now I'm going to have to talk for another hour. We're already past 3, Robert. But Matt, have you ever watched Happy Gilmore? Of course I have. I've heard it's pretty good, but I didn't want to watch it. Now the reason I thought someone was going to ask is because the sequel is out. And did I watch Happy Gilmore 2? Now, first of all, let me address your first question. Have I seen Happy Gilmore? Of course. I think it's one of the. It's in the top 5 to 10 comedies, I would say, to me. Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore are excellent. There's a lot of Adam Sandler crap. In fact, I think it's mostly crap outside of those. But those 2 are great. And so, of course, I'm going to watch Happy Gilmore 2, even though I know it's going to be pretty much a piece of crap. You haven't seen it yet, Robert?
No.
Okay. It's new. I know people might not want spoilers. I'm not going to spoil anything. All I will say is I saw a lot of bitching on X about how bad this movie sucks. I don't know what you were expecting. I mean, you have to go in expecting crap. But one of the criticisms I saw was that it was not faithful enough to the original for reasons X, Y, and Z. Now, without spoiling, I will tell you, if you liked the first one, you may not think this is as good because it's a sequel that's 30 years later. But all it is references to the original and callbacks to jokes from 30 years ago. That's why I kind of liked it. Is Happy Gilmore 2 among the best comedies ever made? No. But if you want to do what I was doing with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 and have a nostalgic trip down memory lane, that's exactly what it is. It's kind of funny given how much older everybody is to have these callbacks. There's so many cameos, just so many people from the original movie and also celebrities unrelated. We're like, holy shit, I haven't seen that guy in forever. What's he doing in this? That's like, the movie is just comedy bits just absolutely driven into the ground, which I like. Like you take a bit, just drive it into the ground until people are groaning with how much you've repeated it. I find that funny. References to jokes in the original movie, which I like callbacks. And then just like absurd cameos. And if you find that funny, it's pretty funny. We liked it. I wouldn't, if I had to grade it on the old scale, I'd give it like 3.5 to 4. Like it was enjoyable. We liked watching it. It was a little too long. Almost 2 hours, which it doesn't need to be. Speaking of, I'm at 3-hour stream here, but there's my Happy Gilmore 2 review. Have you seen the first movie, Robert?
I have seen the first one, and I feel like that's the best review that the movie could receive. The second one, I mean.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, to say the movie is exactly what you would think it would be.
Yeah.
And it's like, great. That's what we all want. Great.
The only things I didn't like is it was a little long, and then it appears to be just like one big nepotism exercise. That is to say, like Adam Sandler's daughters are 2 of the characters, and they're not very good. It's like, okay, cool. I'm glad you guys got a job out of this, but like, what are we doing here? Other than that, enjoyable watch. Blanket says, Matt, what do you think about this? There's some kind of bill to protect the safety of children on the internet. If passed, it could mandate digital identity, fully de-anonymize the internet, and impose significant censorship. Well, I would have to see I need to see the information and the details on that. Protecting, when I talked to Bering a few weeks ago about a lot of the crackdowns on the internet that have happened there, that's how it was introduced in Australia. It was like, well, we have to protect the kids from all these, all this inappropriate content or even predatory behavior on the internet. And then what was done to protect the kids turns into a bunch of censorship efforts against adults. So skeptical in principle, but I'd have to see the information. Good memes from Blankets as always. And Blanket says, Matt, would you ever have Shiloh on the show? Of course. But as far as I'm aware, she's not doing, she said after the fact, she doesn't want to have a public profile in that way. Maybe you should also have a black guest too. It'd be pretty funny if you did the whole stream without talking about the viral video. Hey, Joshie would come on the show with Shiloh. I think that'd be fun. But yeah, I don't think she wants to do that. If she did, I would host her for sure. All right. I think we're all set, Robert. Anything else you want to... Oh, Dangerous Spaces adds, the XP at the top of YouTube chat is a new feature to encourage viewer engagement. Not sure what raises your score, though. It seems inconsistent when your score does or does not increase. Okay, so they are offering chat XP, so you could be a more accomplished chatter, I guess. All right. Thanks, you two. Whatever games you want to play. You know what would make chat more engaging, though, Raju Mohan? You not deleting things. You not censoring things. Just allowing people to talk freely might make it more engaging. But all right, whatever you want to do.
This cannot end well. Like if somebody's like, hey, I'm a YouTuber level 67, you'd be like, go touch grass. Like, I don't care how much XP you accumulated on the live chat.
I mean, I'd have to see how they intend for it to work. To the point you're making, for the incentive they think they're creating, it could be a disincentive. It could be like embarrassing. Is it publicly viewable to everybody how much chat XP you have? Now, I don't mean to cast aspersions on anyone who chats. I hope you do chat a lot, not only on my stream, but on anybody's stream to the extent I want this all to be successful. However, I could also envision a situation in which you might not want people to know how much you chat on YouTube. You might want to, I assume they have a way to, if it's public by default, there's got to be a way to disable that.
Surely, yeah.
Anyway. All right. Anything else before we're out of here, Robert?
No, thank you for having me back. And I'm very happy that you're taking some time off. I love your show. You've been doing it for so long without taking a long break. And so I'm very happy for you.
Well, thanks. I really look forward to it. And I talked about it in a little more detail last Sunday, so I won't go over it again. If you want to hear me talk about reasons for my break, go back to last Sunday's show. But I appreciate it, Robert. Thank you for everything you've done to help my show and to participate in my show and just, helping me get through what has been an absolutely crazy year that has put me in particular need of a break. So I appreciate it. And of course, to the extent you want to continue on the other side of the break, you're welcome to come back. So I hope that you will. And we'll see you then. But of course, I'm not done yet. I still have the Wednesday night stream. We'll see you then before the break. But as for tonight, we will call it there. And appreciate all our live chatters, all our super chatters, everybody making the live show a success. Congratulations on your XP. Very proud of you for that. If you're listening on demand later, sorry about your XP, but I still appreciate your support for the show. Thanks again to Jon Patton for joining tonight. Find him and the Gun Collective at theguncollective.com. Thanks to Robert for sitting in tonight. Glad you completed your motorcycle journey unscathed, mostly, except for the bike, but Robert was unscathed. Thanks to producer Tim for his assistance, as always, including digging up the important Pride Fence vandalism details. Appreciate that. Find everything show-related at mattchristiansenmedia.com or mattis.gay if you prefer brevity. Again, I will be back on Wednesday night with Joshy Boy and Batman, but that'll do it for Sunday streams until September. Appreciate it. Hope to see you Wednesday night. Have a great night.